A lot has been happening, so that will be unpacked. So I invite you to tune in to this live broadcast. Let me start you off with a quote by Mother Teresa. Spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come without living happier. Spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come without living happier. That was Mother Teresa. Victor.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. In Kenya, you wake up to a new thing every single day, including what we discuss here on set, including what we go through as a people, including what we eat. And that is how life is dynamic. Sindio Marie, you wake up to a new thing. Just the other day, we were having a conversation with one of the guests. He said that in this country, when you leave Kenya for just 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, alafu ukuje kwako, you'll find yourself, if you're living in point A in Nairobi, you'll find your house somewhere in point B. Things change so suddenly. I want us to talk about defending justice. Defending justice. Yesterday we woke up to something else, and now we're waking up to something else, where Eliud Lagat, who is the chief, the person who has been mentioned adversely in the death of Albert Ojwang, finally stepped aside, and he said that is because of his conscious decision, that he's going to allow for investigations to be done thoroughly. And yes, so we just want to take a look at the whole spectrum now, defending justice. One of the lawyers who's been handling the case for the accused person, that is the OCS of Central Police Station, will be here. That is Wambui Shadrack, will be here with me. And there's another gentleman called Tom Nduku. Tom Nduku is a criminal expert and a background investigator with so many years of experience. We also have to take a look at that and what we really need to understand in as far as that's concerned. And finally, Dr. Richard Busire is the lecturer of political science at the University of Nairobi. So here we are, defending justice.
Yes.
How do you defend justice?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, and it's very timely. And of course, just from the people you've mentioned, we're going to be part of your panel. That's a really strong panel. You know, really strong panelists coming through, and we just cannot wait to get to listen to that conversation, because I mean, justice is one thing that is very paramount and should always be paramount, especially in the case that is of essence right now, and that is Albert Ojwang's murder. So we will be tuning into that immediately after the news with Victor and his panelists. And before I get to introduce what I'll be having today on Health Tuesday, I want to follow suit. Mike ametusalimia na Kikamba. Allow me to greet you in Taita.
Yes.
Do you know the greetings?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Oh, go ahead, Victor.
I know.
It is?
Mari, it's your
I'll leave Vivian to teach us this morning.
Thank you very much,
See
Marie.
the way Victor
That is the spirit.
I
That is the spirit. Be open to learn. Don't just...
want to learn.
All right, so in Taita you say, Kwabuka mana. Kwabuka mana. And then the answer is Dabuka manato or just manato.
Manato.
Yes.
Dabuka.
Dabuka mana.
Taita is Bantu, sindio?
Yes, the Bantus.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Because Dabuka is like...
Dabuka manato.
Okay, you're butchering. It's not Dabuka, it's Dabuka. But anyway, we get what you mean. Now, today being a Tuesday, of course, as I've mentioned, is Health Tuesday. And the month of June is a month where we get to celebrate men's mental health awareness, which is very, very important. Because most of the times, as we all know, men do not love to show emotions. Men do not love to speak out on matters that they may be facing. And they get to be... to have a lot of challenges going on, but today we want to just get to break that silence. Let's break the silence and be able to find the strength. I will be joined by 3 men on set, and among them being Benjamin Mutoko, who is a mental health programs officer, LVCT Health. We'll also be having Baraza Churchill, who is a nurse, psychiatrist, and a lecturer. And finishing off that panel will be Robert Omondi, who's a from the Youth for Mental Health Consortium, and they will be here to speak about mental health awareness specifically for the guys. You definitely want to stay tuned for that at exactly 9 a.m. Right about now, as you've already seen, Marie is here with us. Marie, good morning, and what do we have lined up?
Very good morning to you, Vivian, and of course to all of you joining us from across the country. My name is Marie Ambovik. Vivian, karibu sana. Ulirudi kama niko off kidogo. Yes, but I was following the happenings, so even me, I'll just ride on that tag at a Livuisha. So. But
you would have just left it at Karibu, and then that's it.
It's a deserved rest, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes it can be very, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
But yes, you need to take a break when the body speaks.
Absolutely.
You know? Exactly. And I don't know what the motivation today is to learn the different languages, but it's all good. Mike.
Yes.
And Vivian.
Yeah.
I hope nita kumbuka. Manato.
Yes.
I kind of knew that, but I'd forgotten it a little bit. You know, I schooled in the coast, so somehow I picked one or two. Okay. So I will probably teach you Giriama very soon.
Yeah, okay. And Rabai actually.
Yes, yeah. So let me go back and look at my vocabulary.
But I find Taita quite. It's a sweet language.
It is a
All
sweet
our languages
language.
are sweet.
They are sweet.
It is.
All our languages. And you know what, Victor?
Yeah.
Maybe too late, but maybe not too late. Maybe personal responsibility or just taking the initiative.
Yeah.
But I think in Tanzania and Uganda, they can actually speak each other's language quite a bit. You know, actually in school, I think in Uganda, then you're taught the different languages. That actually breaks that barrier. Because when I'm speaking my Luo and Kikuyu or another, so you're able to understand me.
Yeah.
What brings those rifts and suspicion is when you don't understand what I'm saying. You know, so it could be a good thing if we could learn each other's languages. They are important, and we are losing them, by the way. We are losing them. Most of the kids being born now, or not being born now, being brought up in this generation do not know their languages, but it is what it is. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in the news. And among the headlines we're bringing you this morning is that bowing to pressure, Deputy Police IG Eliud Lagat steps aside, cites public interest surrounding Albert Ojwang's death investigations. And from former CJ David Maraga dismisses Police DIG Eliud Lagat stepping aside as not good enough, he calls for his resignation. And over 500 gold mines in West Pokot shut down over safety and legal concerns. And definitely health experts raise alarm over mental health crisis among survivors of the April 2024 Mai Mahiu dam tragedy that left 60 people dead. And remember, Vivian has also talked about, you know, having health experts in the studio, just talking matters, mental health and, you know, focusing on men. So all that will be coming up later, but right about now, Deputy Inspector General of Kenya Police Service, that is Eliud Lagat, has stepped aside amid deepening controversy over the death of teacher Albert Ojwang. In a statement, Lagat said his decision was made in good and conscious thought of the weight of his office and the public interest surrounding the case. The announcement comes as investigations intensify, placing the spotlight on Lagat's office and raising serious questions about accountability within the security sector. Ben Chumba opens our bulletin this morning.
Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service, Eliud Lagat, has temporarily vacated his position. Lagat cited the need for impartial investigations into the death of Albert Ojwang, a teacher whose case has sparked outrage and a flurry of questions within the national security establishment. In a statement released from Vigilance House on Monday, Lagat stated, quote, "In the good and the conscious thought of my role and responsibilities, I have today opted to step aside pending completion of investigations." End quote. Eliud Kipkoech Lagat is a seasoned career police officer with over 25 years of experience in the service. He was the commandant of the General Service Unit GSU before his current role. Lagat has served in various capacities, including Deputy Head of Crime Scene Support Unit, head of the Investigation Bureau, and later as head of Bomb and Hazardous Materials Unit. Lagat holds a master's degree in Armed Conflict and Peace Studies from the University of Nairobi and a Bachelor of Science in Automotive Engineering from the University of Eastern Africa, Baraton. But now the man once tasked with enforcing law and order finds himself at the center of controversy. While no wrongdoing has been directly attributed to him, the political and legal heat surrounding Ojwang's death has made Lagat's position increasingly untenable. He has pledged full cooperation with investigators and expressed his condolences to the family of the deceased, a move likely aimed at preserving public trust in the force. For now, his deputy takes over as the country waits for answers. But the questions remain: what happened to Albert Ojwang, and how deep does this investigation go?
And still keeping with Albert Ojwang's death and stories, Officer Commanding Central Police Station Samson Talam has been detained until Wednesday, the 18th of June, awaiting a pre-charge bail application ruling. Talam, who was arrested last Friday, is among the suspects being investigated over the death of teacher Albert Omondi Ojwang, who died in police custody a week ago. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority want the court to allow Talam's 21-day continued detention to ensure the security and integrity of the case. The technician, who was hired to tamper with the surveillance footage at the Central Police Station, has also been arraigned at the Kibra Law Court.
Samson Talam this day in court on Monday. Shortly after 11 a.m., the officer commanding the Nairobi Central Police Station calmly took to the dock as investigation into the death of Albert Ojwang gathered momentum.
I swear by the name of the Almighty God, the evidence I shall give before this court.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, led by Senior Prosecuting Counsel Juma Victor Owiti, urged the court to grant the Independent Policing Oversight Authority investigator Abdirahman Jibri 21 days to detain Talam.
There is a potential criminal trial, and this is the quadruple interest. Number one, the rights of the accused individual, in this case the respondent, who is likely to be charged in a potential criminal trial. Potential witnesses, the police officers who are on duty, and any other person who was at the vicinity at Central Police Station.
Trial Magistrate Ben Makehubi was informed that Talam, being the custodian of the greatest police station in Kenya, has influence and could jeopardize the ongoing investigations.
All offenses in Kenya are bailable, but there's no greater need for self-preservation where a police officer, no less than the officer commanding the station, is intended to be likely charged with the offense of murder.
The court was also told that the false entry of the occurrence book by his subordinates and interference with the CCTV footage should be compelling reasons for his custody. However, the Central Police Boss, through his lawyers led by Felix Kiprono and Clay Fombet, argue that the 21 detention is not warranted.
Investigations have not adduced any cogent reasons necessitating continued detention of the respondent.
But they're telling you something else that is imaginary, that they are yet to get some other witnesses who they are going to record their statements. What does that show you, Your Honor? That the OCS does not have the names of those witnesses or does not know them.
The defense further urged the court to grant Talam pre-charge bail, stating that he is innocent until proven otherwise and has so far cooperated with the investigators.
So at 2 p.m. on the 18th of June, on Wednesday.
The development comes even as a technician who was hired to tamper with the surveillance footage at the Central Police Station was also arraigned on Monday at Kibera Law Court. This now brings to 3 suspects who are now in custody over the murder of teacher cum social media influencer Albert Omondi Ojwang. Talam, who has been in service for 29 years now, will be remanded at Langata Police Station, even as calls for DIG Eliud Lagat and the DCI officers that picked Albert Ojwang in Homa Bay County continue to mount for them to be presented in court. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani, Lokot.
Thank you, Ruth Wamboi, for that report. Of course, Ruth will be keeping tabs on that particular story in the courts and bringing you updates as far as we can. And still on Albert Ojwang's death, former Chief Justice David Maraga is demanding the resignation, arrest and prosecution of Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat over the death of Albert Ojwang. Maraga says that there is prima facie evidence that Lagat directly or indirectly is implicated in the illegal arrest, torture and murder of Ojwang. As Joseph Wahungu now reports, Maraga is adamant that the decision by Lagat to step aside is merely a first step in ensuring justice for the slain teacher.
Former Chief Justice David Maraga has welcomed the decision by Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat to step aside. Maraga, however, says it shouldn't end there. Hours before Lagat stepped aside, the former Chief Justice and his allies had called for his arrest and prosecution over the death of teacher Albert Ojwang.
There is prima facie evidence that Mr. Eliud Lagat, directly or indirectly, by himself or through his accomplices, is implicated in the illegal arrest, torture, strangulation, and the eventual murder of Albert Ojwang.
Maraga accused the Inspector General of Police and the Director of Criminal Investigations of lying under oath.
Consequently, the Kenyans have lost the trust in, the Kenyan people have lost trust in them. This cannot be allowed to continue. Our institutions of human rights and the justice need a serious resetting and a rebuilding.
The French Democratic Movement, through its Secretary General, has demanded a transparent probe into Ojwang's murder. ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna accused the government of doing little to stem extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances.
Mimi nimesema hata hiyo vitu vingine ile MOU ilikuwa inasema hatutaki sasa, kwa sababu kama utakuja kunijengea barabara ndio Subaru ziingie vizuri bila kushughulika kubeba vijana, ndio magari ya kubeba maiti zirudi vizuri bila kupata shida kutuletea mili ya vijana yetu, hiyo barabara hatutaki.
A week after the murder of Albert Ojwang, pressure is mounting on the government to ensure justice for his family, even with demands being made for Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat to resign from office. Reporting for Prime Edition in Nairobi, my name is Joseph Wahungu.
Well, it is now mandatory for all police stations in the country to be equipped with CCTV surveillance with an external backup system. The occurrence book, commonly referred to as an OB, will also be digitized within a year to ensure it is tamper-proof. These changes are a part of policy reforms announced by Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, who noted that they are among measures aimed at enhancing transparency and accountability in the National Police Service. Timothy Kipnusu reports.
In the wake of the brutal killing of blogger Albert Omondi Ojwang in police custody, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen announced a raft of reforms aimed at restoring waning public confidence of the police. Speaking Monday on the state of security in the country, Murkomen announced the mandatory installation of CCTV surveillance systems in all 1,209 police stations across the country with an external backup system.
It shall be mandatory to equip police stations with CCTV surveillance to enhance transparency and accountability. All the police stations currently standing at 1,209 shall have CCTV surveillance within the next 2 years.
At the same time, the occurrence book, commonly referred to as OB, will be digitized within a year to make incident reporting tamper-proof. According to Murkomen, this is part of a raft of police reforms aimed at enhancing transparency and accountability in the National Police Service.
The Ministry of Interior and National Administration remains firmly committed to pursuing reforms through adherence to the Constitution, continuous legislation,
policy and administrative reforms, and adoption of international best practices.
All police stations have also been directed to have regular audits and performance reviews to independently examine police conduct. The NPC will also take part in community policing initiatives to enhance community integration and improve the relationship between police officers and the communities.
With the people of Kenya, we'll continue to pursue and implement the much-needed reforms within the security sector. This process will be progressive and guided by the constitutional values, best practices, and the unwavering pursuit of justice and professionalism.
At the same time, all police officers will also undergo fresh training and education programs to modernize the service. The new reforms will be centralized at every police station under the command of the officers commanding stations. It is evident that the gruesome murder of blogger Albert Ojwang and the barrage of public outcry has presented an opportunity for the Minister of Interior as well as the National Police Service to put their house in order, with many questions still going unanswered. Will the new reforms stop the killings of Kenyans? Earlier, Murkomen called for collective regional action towards eradicating drug trafficking in the continent. Murkomen called for a review of current policies on drug trafficking in the region, to tap online international network that sell marijuana, heroin, cocaine, and other synthetic drugs.
Sustainable solutions will require us to reframe drug policy as both a public health and a development priority. As we reflect on the insight of this report and the leadership of the Eastern and Southern African Commission on Drugs, let us rededicate ourselves to this fight.
Finally, the Commission has discussed with civic society organizations, national government representatives, the harms inflicted by current drug policy approaches in the region and the possible solutions to mitigate these harms, particularly for women, young people, and children.
To other news now, where health stakeholders in Mai Mahiu have raised an alarm of an escalating mental health crisis among the survivors of the infamous Mai Mahiu dam tragedy led by Pastor John Joroge. The stakeholders who organized a free medical checkup for the victims say the aftermath of the incident has reduced them to beggars, with many having been evicted from rental houses and unable to afford basic needs, including medical care.
Kijabe Mission Hospital in Mai Mahiu was a beehive of activities on Monday as tens of victims of the infamous Mai Mahiu flash floods tragedy and their families stand up in their numbers for a free medical checkup in Naivasha, Nakuru County. It is here that health stakeholders raised alarm of an escalating crisis. The victims are slowly sinking into depression stemming from the high poverty levels.
Many of them are still suicidal, and some of them tell us that this is the time that this is dawning on them, that what happened really happened. They'll never see their loved ones again, and they lost everything that they had. And the help has been slow in coming. We still believe in our government that the promises made will be kept, but we have in the meantime, we are doing everything we can to help them cope with the condition that they're in.
For most of them, affording basic health care has become a heavy burden, which has further resulted to increased cases of non-communicable diseases in the area.
Nimegonjeka niko na kama miezi 6-7 na venye anko aliniambia kuna hii hospitali, akaniambia ilikuwa niende operation. So aliniambia juu hii shida yenye tuko nayo ya pesa, so siwezi pata. So niendelee kunimeza dawa nigoje hii siku.
The most common that we are seeing here is non-communicable diseases, so hypertension, diabetes. We're seeing a little bit of arthritis and other conditions.
For victims like Rachel Wanjiko, the situation has further been compounded by the government's failure to honor promises made to them, which includes compensation and resettlement.
Kwa sasa tumekuwa wengi wakiteseka mambo ya rent, juu serikali tulipia tu only 3 months, wengine watu wakajipanga. So tumekuwa tukiteseka mambo na makazi, juu mali tuliachiwa I think tunakanga tu hivyo.
Many patients who are still nursing wounds that they sustained during the floods, and others have just general conditions that have been complicated by the fact that they lost everything, and so they have not been able to go to the hospital at all.
The 29th of April 2024 tragedy saw torrents of water tear down Kamushiri village following a culvert burst. The tragic incident left at least 60 people dead and tens are displaced from places they called home, and their hope of ever getting back on their feet now slowly fading in silence.
I think tunakanga tu hivyo. Juu wengi hatuna kazi, hatuna mahali pa kuenda, vibarua hakuna. So tunakanga tu, maisha ni ngumu. Hajairudi kama kawaida.
A look at business now, where a proposal to borrow 635.5 billion shillings locally to fund the 2025-26 budget could push up the cost of credit in the country as the government crowds out the private sector and other borrowers from the credit market. In their post-budget analysis, economists from PricewaterhouseCoopers project that the tax collection target given to Kenya Revenue Authority is high and could see the government opting for more additional domestic borrowing to fund the budget.
When we look at the estimates again, we see that domestic borrowing is budgeted at 635 billion. What are the implications of that? The deficit grows, puts more pressure on fiscal space. We borrow more in the domestic market. The implication there is likely further crowding out of the private sector from the credit markets in the local environment.
So currently, based on our interpretation of the Finance Bill 2025 and the practice currently, deductions such as SHIF and AHL do come off before arriving at the chargeable income, and then thereafter one would apply, relief such as the personal relief per month.
It's interesting when you think about the kind of mobilized revenues that the government is looking to collect this year when you compare it to prior years. Talking about unlocking, or the finance bill expected to unlock an extra 30 billion Kenya shillings vis-a-vis, say, the finance bill of 2024, the one that was thrown out.
Where the government is finalizing a reward system for athletes in a bid to honor them and take care of their welfare. This is according to Sports Principal Secretary Elijah Mwangi, who was speaking during a public participation forum for sports policy framework review at Kasarani.
Sports stakeholders converged at the Stadium Hotel in Kasarani as the public participation forum for review of the Sports Act took center stage. Speakers during the forum emphasized on the need of enhancing inclusivity and strategic investments from the grassroots levels.
Of importance is that to make sure that we have good facilities in place, we have laws and legislation that guide us on how we conduct or we nurture, we identify talents, we nurture them.
Sports Principal Secretary says the government is working on improving athletes' welfare by inducting health insurance and a rewarding system for the retired athletes that will see them awarded pensions.
Development and welfare, we are looking into the matters to do with including insurance, pensions, health coverage, post-retirement support, and other representations.
Mwangi reaffirmed that the government is working to ensure that sports facilities have been developed and the existing ones revamped in a bid to nurture talent.
Under the leadership of the Cabinet Secretary and with the approval of His Excellency the President, we established a National Task Force to review both the National Sports Policy and Sports Act. This review is grounded on public engagement, evidence, and best practice.
Currently, Kenya is guided by the Sports Act of 2013, which stakeholders believe requires some amendments.
Well, and that's how we wrap up the morning bulletin. Thank you so much for starting your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Marie Ambo. Remember, you can always catch more of these stories and others on our website and also on our social media pages. Right about now, we take a break, but Victor Lowe will be back with People and Politics.
In a world where news is ever-changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
And if I'm so useless, why do you still keep me around?
What else? You're Malika's dad.
Ruth sleeps for that company, eats that company, does everything for that company.
Yeah, right.
Oh, really?
Is it that I'm too young for you, or she's more beautiful than me?
No, I didn't say that.
Na si ni kweli? Kwani ni mamako? Kwani unapenda kudanganyana?
Kweli.
I really like you. And I know I have a baby with Isha, but that's in the past.
I think it's okay what Ruth is doing, questioning Jill. Because we barely know her. She's new. And I think we do have to take precautions.
Where were you? You expect to walk in here from anywhere and find food lying around?
Oh, so you expect me to starve, right?
Please, leave me alone. I need peace.
Can we please talk outside? I feel like sometimes these walls are fears.
Ni nani sijona kwa hii nyumba leo sasa?
Good morning to you too, Jen. Okay, what are you saying?
Freedom of choice, ma'am. We do have that, right?
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth reggae vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She said she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa Hadija ai Mani especially ukisonga Ulaya salli wa sallim daiman abada.
Nafahamu uasis ama uanzilishaji wa sunna hii ya kuchinja katika tarehe 10 ya Dhulhijja.
Walipokuwa tayari kumchinja mwanae, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aliteremsha kondoo kutoka mbinguni na kumwamuru Nabii Ibrahim kumchinja kondoo yule.
Kuwa na tabia nzuri aliyokuwa nayo Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallama, ili uwe mwenye kupendwa na Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallama na uwe karibu yake siku ya Kiyama.
Laka wal mulk la sharika lak.
Kila mwaka mamilioni ya Waislamu kutoka kila kona ya dunia hukusanyika katika ardhi tukufu ya Maka.
All right, welcome back. It's now 6 minutes past 7 a.m. If you're still in the house, sipping your coffee or preparing to leave, please just give me 1 hour of your time. And if you get late, don't blame it on me. The show is just about to be nice, okay? You can call your boss that Victor made you late. Welcome to the program. Today being a Tuesday, People and Politics. Let's talk about defending justice. A lot has been happening in the country in the past few days perhaps weeks, if you all remember. And today I want us to talk about the aspect of defending justice. That is what I want us to talk about. Even you as a Kenyan, do you know your right? Most of the time people say, I know my right. Okay, that right that you know, how does it help you when you're pushed to the corner? All right? So let's talk about that. Tom Nduku is a criminologist and a background investigator. He's also an expert in so many things, criminal justice. Tom Nduku, good morning.
Morning. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Asante sana. Please don't investigate us. We are just good people.
No, it's a matter of discussion today.
Right. We are good people. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And Shadrach is an advocate of the High Court, a gentleman who decided to take a break from us. I don't know why. You'll tell us. Shadi.
Yes, Victor. Mzuri sana, thank you.
Well?
Yes, good morning and good morning to the viewers and the listeners back at home.
Karibu sana.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Asante.
Thank you.
And the only mzee, no, he'll say mzee ni sisi.
Mzee ni wewe.
On a light note, Dr. Richard Bosire is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi teaching political science. He's taught many people, and many occasions you've met your students on this set.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
And I'm ambassador. You know, my first title is ambassador. And
right.
Yeah.
I stand guided. Karibu sana. Here we are.
Sana.
All right. So, gentlemen, let's talk about justice. I don't know whether to start with Shadrach. Shadi.
Yes.
What is justice? I mean, what is justice? Let's start from there.
Yes, yes. You know, I teach law at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa.
Yes.
And often than not, I explain to my students and I tell them that justice is not a cloistered virtue. This is to mean that justice has got so many of its faces. People have different perceptions of what justice is. For someone who's been accused of a crime, justice to him will mean probably getting the lowest punishment or sentence that there is in law.
Yeah.
But when you look at a victim looking at the same situation of the crime, a victim will perceive justice as being the most severe punishment that there is in law that it will be given to the person that is accused of the crime. So really, after all is said and done, justice is a question of perception. It's how you want to look at things. People have different perceptions and understanding of what justice is. I have said, I think when we were off the set, I have mentioned that so many people think that criminal defense attorneys are not there to serve justice. In any event, I have heard Dr. here, the ambassador, mentioning or of course hinting that, you know, the way they look at criminal defense attorneys is that they are there as paid, they are paid agents to cause a miscarriage of justice, which is very far from the truth. The truth of the matter is that when you have a criminal advocate, a criminal defense attorney, his responsibility is to ensure that justice is done also to the victim by ensuring that the prosecution that has come forward with evidence has brought in cogent evidence, convincing evidence, that evidence is enough and sufficient, well presented to cause the conviction of the person accused. If there has been lethargical investigations, if the investigators were not keen on certain details, it is the responsibility of the defense attorney to ensure that they exploit the loopholes so that this investigator can be taught a few lessons. We do not want a situation where, by going by the legal philosophy of the Blackstone ratio, that we do not want a situation where we have one innocent person going to jail. We would rather have 10 guilty people being acquitted rather than having one innocent person going to jail. That is my understanding of what justice is. Yes.
Okay, Dr. What's justice?
I mean, I would agree with him, but I did not say that the defense attorneys are about subverting perceptions about subverting justice. But it's apparent also that justice, for me, I look at it as a balance. I see even the courts, they have their logo as a balance.
Yeah.
You want to be fair. It's about fairness. It's about truthfulness and finding out the evidence that will help
To tip the scales.
To tip the scales, that really what has happened can be acceptable as being a fair share of either blame or exoneration in a matter, regardless of whether the attorneys are lethargical or they're zealous to defend their clients. And I would like to say that justice also has to be seen to be done. Someone has been killed, for instance. If someone has been killed and someone is saying, and people know this guy actually slashed this guy to death, this person to death. And then the defense attorneys are saying he did not kill him. And people saw him killing him. So sometimes I wonder, why really are they trying to subvert the truth and to subvert justice? That is the context within which I was saying this, that it must appear to have been done. People have the information, the public expect a certain verdict out of a case because they also have the evidence. Although the court is like, you must bring the evidence. Who is the complainant? Who is this? Who is the other one? Going regalis. But from where I stand, the public expect fairness, truthfulness. They expect a balance. If someone is, a person has been killed and it is known he has died and he has died in my hands, justice for the public will be if these persons are found guilty and incarcerated. And compensation, perhaps. Reparations are part of the justice system.
Tom, it seems that justice is double-edged, based on what I hear. To you, what is justice? I just want us to open this discussion from that point.
From the investigation point of view, this is a level framework which is adduced by circumstances that makes the complaint. From then, the investigator takes it on and goes back, build a background investigation, review the incidences, look at the prospect of the case in the benefit of the victim. To a large extent, compare whether there's truthfulness on the grounds of his allegation. And on that basis, the investigator can now comprehend a charge which may go to the DPP to review and see whether there is success in the case as was then reported. So actually, justice on the offender, if I want to borrow leave from what the lawyer is trying to say, maybe that one can be blamed when there is a framing process of an allegation that may not be true. You understand? We want to frame you in a case. Then that is now the onus on the lawyers to prove that indeed these people had got ill motive in the prospect of their complaint. But indeed the justice is in line with the framework of how the complaint has been purposed.
Okay. So where's the balance between justice and fairness? I'll come to you, Wakili, as well. Justice and fairness.
Yes. You know, justice is the scale as to how you have outweighed the balance of the complaint at hand.
Right.
Like, for instance, now the case that we have at hand. How was the complaint made? Who was the complaint made to? Was it booked? At what level was the complaint made to? If it was at the director of CID, it can go through a letter writing. If it is at the police station, it must be reported an OB. If you make a phone call, the officer in charge at the desk will write it, but will say, I received a phone call from so and so at this time, and this is what he said, and I told him to follow up tomorrow at 8. So you go there now, you review your OB. They can make a further OB or go with the initial OB.
Yes.
You understand? Fairness now comes in with the person who has been charged to investigate the matter. how did you adduce your facts on the complaint? What were your steps as to how you investigated the matter? That is now when the court will either see whether you are one-sided or...
Basically, fairness is about truth.
It's about truth.
Okay.
Yes, it's about truth.
Wakil, is it so?
Now,
is there truth in quest for justice?
Yes, my very basic understanding of what fairness is. Fairness to me will be...
And justice, yes.
Yes. I begin by fairness because I look at fairness as a feeling.
Right.
Yes, the feeling of an outcome. What you will now perceive to be a just or an unjust outcome. And I said that when you're looking at justice, I mentioned, justice is not a cloistered virtue. This is an understanding made, is a principle in law with the understanding that what we perceive as just might not be necessarily just from another person's perspective. So that if you know, our courts are adversarial, we fight in court. Our courts have not taken the inquisitorial way of approaching disputes. I think the inquisitorial approach will be taken probably, but in criminal trial, it's a fight. It's a fight for the liberty or against, the fight to take away someone's liberty, and another fight to preserve and to protect that liberty of that individual.
Yes.
So it's a fist fight. Just to mention, but to just give it the basic understanding just for a common man. It's a fight. It means that when you are fighting your opponent, you don't opponent the places to hit. It is when you're fighting, because I'm a boxer. The weakest, yes, you look at the weakest. His belly has exposed his head. You hit the head. That's how the law works, because it is an adversarial system.
Now when you're in a court session, for example, and you're in a boxing ring, you don't choose where to punch. So long as there is a knockout. All right?
It's a win.
So then it means then you look at the case or the charge brought by the prosecutor.
Yes, you look at the charge, you look at the evidence surrounding it. Because,
that's where you hit.
Let us just speak it quite clearly, even for the members of the public to understand. Sometimes we even have evidence of someone stabbing another one.
Right.
We have proof, as Ambassador was saying. But the problem comes when these witnesses are called to account. Some of the witnesses do not come out to give evidence of what they saw, what they heard, what they touched, what they felt.
Why?
Because, some will think that this is my neighbor, I do not want to go and give evidence that will, lead to him being denied his liberty. Number two, people will be threatened. People will be afraid. We had the ICC in this country, and we know what became of all witnesses, or most of the witnesses that were supposed to give evidence in the ICC court. So we know that some witnesses also turn out dead. So you do not want to, to risk your life by giving evidence where you probably think it is not your business. So because of those shortcomings that are there, sometimes also the manner in which evidence is presented before court. People imagine that because there was a CCTV camera, that it will just be taken to court and it will be adopted as evidence before court. No, there are certain procedures, because these procedures are meant to safeguard the accused person. The accused person in law is taken to be the most favorite child. Is the person that we want to defend, so that we do not have innocent people going to jail. So we put the task so high on the Director of Public Prosecutions to prove the guilt.
So that's where the case begins?
Yes.
Okay.
So from that lens or that perspective, you will probably want to understand, or you might also understand, why people who have been accused of criminal activities, people who think there was quite cogent evidence, turn out now being freed, because of the basis of there was not sufficient evidence. And you will think, why is this person walking out freely, but yet we had cogent evidence?
Let's just face it. It could be that the prosecutor did his or her work. But now you, as a defense attorney, you're going to pour cold water on it to say that there is no sufficient evidence. That is your work.
Yes, we have...
The way Dr. said, somebody has killed, somebody has stabbed, there is a case here, but did you see me?
There are witnesses that come to court when we have a process called cross-examination. That cross-examination is a tool that is designed by law to ensure that we separate truth from lies. Some of the witnesses that come to court either come to tell lies, come to tell exaggerations. They saw, indeed they saw. You know, I slapped Ambassador once, but now the witness will come and say, I slapped him, I gave him a slap and I kicked his stomach. So now, because of that exaggeration, we will, if successful, I will have impeached the credibility of that witness. So this is to mean that the court, who is an impartial arbiter, sitting at, you know, the bench, the court will look at the witness and say that, well, you might have told me so much truth of what became of the circumstance, but because of, you know, some lack of credibility here and there, I will not take your evidence as being the whole truth.
Dr. Sorry for that. Then it means, let's just face it, life isn't fair. from what you can hear from the two gentlemen, life isn't fair at all.
Life isn't fair, as you say, Victor, because in the defense process, in fact, I always say that I would never be a criminal lawyer if I wanted to study law, just for the very reason that often, if I look at it from a religious perspective, I see that it's full of lies. Because once you have seen people commit crimes and clearly people are aggrieved, people are grieving, someone has been killed, and you see someone say, Your Honor, he did not kill this guy. And it's known clearly, there is evidence. Of course, in terms of the law and procedures, I might be wrong, but what do we really see as justice? And Shadrach has said that justice is relative. There's no absolute justice. If it's according to the eye of the beholder, then how does that look like? Then we see, when you say...
Can you answer that question?
The law has been served.
Can he answer that question?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I said that, you see, you do not want the prosecutor to go to get convictions on very scanty evidence. The reason why the defense is there is to ensure that the prosecutor and the investigator here does his job well. If you do your job well, you will have people in jail. People will answer for their offenses. But if you don't do your job well, it means some of the innocent people, I mean, so many people are accused wrongly out here. We have so many people who are accused of having, possession of marijuana, others having defiled, others of rape. So if we lower the bar so low, it means some of the innocent people are going to be inmates in a prison. That is why we must ensure that the bar is placed so high. In any event, this is the government. The Director of Public Prosecutions is the government. He has resources, enough resources. He works with the police officers, the DCI, the best DCI that we have in this Africa. So it means that they are well capable of providing cogent information that is going to assist the court in securing a conviction or in ensuring that someone who is innocent gets freed. That is the reason why I'm saying that justice is not really about perception. Is about the work, the effort that you put. If you want people just to,
But when you release, Victor, you release 10 people. He mentioned that you're better off having 5 criminals released than one innocent person being in jail.
Blackstone ratio.
You see,
that is a legal philosophy.
It could be philosophy, but we are talking about real issues here. That if that is the case, then are we not again even fomenting problems in the society? And you see, the perception of justice, if people feel that there's no justice, even this case, there are many disappearances that we have had in this country. There are many abductions, unaccounted for people, bodies that were picked from dump sites, and parents are crying. Almost 100 people are lost in this country. And we have nothing. Parents are still wondering, how does that augur well in the fabric of our society? When we look at national cohesion, we are looking at unity among integration of our people in the country. How do we look at that in the face of where we can say 5 criminals or 10 criminals released is better than one innocent person incarcerated. So we are saying that in public interest, we should have justice being served and to be seen to have been served. I hear lawyers saying this, justice to be served and to be seen to have been served.
Yes.
Which is the most basic principle that actually helps in the country living together in harmony and even reducing criminality, crimes in our society, and living in harmony. So I find it, for me, that's the direction.
Yes.
What's the purpose of all this?
What is the purpose of all this? But then,
humanity.
even as you
human
come in,
dignity
Tom,
and all that.
it seems that a lot of work now goes back to the investigator, the prosecutor.
Yes.
Does it worry you that, yes, you are doing your work, but somebody is busy punching and pouring, in fact, not cold water, ice cold water on your work?
I think before I answer that, Dr. has got the duty. He's the one who is in charge of sociology.
No, I don't teach sociology.
Political science.
In the political science, actually, sociology is a subtopic there, which actually deals with the human person. He's the one who should be making those guys whom he is teaching to bring up the society well. There are areas that actually goes back to his professionalism. Coming back to what my friend is talking about, we must differentiate the practice and facts. What he's talking about is the practice, how they would want to mix up issues, look at the weakness of the preparation of the IO.
What is IO for the sake of
IO is the investigating officer.
Right.
But you see, in Kenya here, one of the problems that we have, as an investigator, I can tell you, when there is a mix-up in deliverance of a service, then it calls in back to the integrity of the person. You see, Kenya today, people flash a lot of certificates. And within certain level of degree of understanding, you can't have masters and you still go to steal. Because then now, you would tell you that now you are not protecting your education. You are not protecting your whole being. If you see somebody stealing and is holding masters, try to investigate where that masters came from. That should have been the start.
Not the person?
Not the person. Start to investigate.
Okay.
Actually, that is the problem in this country. On account of what you've asked me, you see, investigation starts with the scene of crime. Excuse me. How did you approach the scene? And that's why I was complaining that IPOA messed themselves out on this matter. The case was theirs. They went there, relied on the police, and even IG for that matter. When IG stepped in Central Police, he already knew that there was a problem. So what he ought to have done was to take over the investigation, corridor areas, take samples, and then he could even address the public after 3 hours with a preliminary report. But he is also depending on the people he's accusing.
Okay.
The mess in this matter, if I'm to say, until now, we do not know how the CID, the role the CID played, and how they came to arrest this person and leave him in Central.
Okay. I want to take a break. And we come back. I still want to ask this question. Can somebody be sued for lying?
For lying?
Yes.
It depends on the ingredient of your lies. Because even you can jail in court.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want us to...
It depends on the ingredient and how and when.
Get where justice, politics come in. Hiyo ni siasa tu, wakili. Hiyo ni siasa. That's what we say.
But
so where is politics and justice?
But you people always blame the wrong people. You have actors singing and singers acting.
Let's take a break.
19 nations will compete in the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania 2024, which will be staged from 2nd to 30th August 2025. Amongst the 4 groups in the tournament A to D, Kenya is pooled in Group A, together with Morocco, Angola, DR Congo and Zambia.
Algeria from the set piece, the header is on target, but it's...
This unique competition featuring the best locally based players from across the continent definitely has something for everyone. Just bring your A game as you let it flow live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Where were you? You expect to walk in here from anywhere and find food lying around?
Oh, so you expect me to start, right?
Please, leave me alone. I need peace.
Can we please talk outside? I feel like sometimes these walls are here.
Ni nani sijiona kwa hii nyumba leo sasa?
Good morning to you too, Jen. Okay, what are you saying?
Freedom of choice, ma'am. We do have that right.
Mtu mwisho, umeua mtu kweli? Haujaua. Alafu basi nipeleke pole pole. Ngoja niongee na huyu. Lakini unapatanga advertisement, si ndio?
Sasa advertisement ikitokea kama haoni atajuaje?
Please, I'm not asking you. Why do you vacuum people in the stomach? Which? The English now is coming out. 50,000 pocket money. Mtoto ende tiari.
Hiyo ni kama isini change kidogo, pesa kidogo ambayo naweza.
Umesikia market that point.
Nafahamu uasis ama uanzilishaji wa sunna hii ya kuchinja katika tarehe 10 ya Dhulhijja.
Walipokuwa tayari kumchinja mwanaye, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aliteremsha kondoo kutoka mbinguni na kumwamuru Nabii Ibrahim kumchinja kondoo yule.
Kuwa na tabia nzuri aliyokuwa nayo Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallama, ili uwe mwenye kupendwa na Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallama na uwe karibu yake siku ya Kiyama.
Laka wal mulk la sharika lak.
Kila mwaka mamilioni ya Waislamu kutoka kila kona ya dunia hukusanyika katika ardhi tukufu ya Maka.
Welcome back. There's a gentleman who sent me a message and said that today are we in a law school or what? No, we are not a law school. We're just trying to make sense of what is there. Gentlemen, welcome back. Now, I ask a question. Where do we draw the line between justice and politics? Because most of the times we'll hear people say, are being accused, politically speaking, the allegations against me are politically instigated. We've had this several times. Yes. So where do we draw the line? Wakili will also help us to understand all this. Gentlemen, yes. We've been here.
Yes.
So where do we draw the line? So that we get to understand that where politics is played, we don't mix it with justice and law and order. We distinguish the two. Dr.
Let me begin, if you allow me, Victor.
Yes.
From the point we are accused that we're the ones who are not teaching properly, perhaps our curriculum
Defend
is
yourself.
not proper. What I want to say, in fact, and this is what we have international organizations, for example, UNESCO. I worked for UNESCO as a Kenya's ambassador to UNESCO, and I really respect what that institution does, how they view education and what education should do in our society, at the local level, national, and even globally, inculcating certain values that will change. The intention is a transformative or transforming education. Education that transforms our behavior on how we relate to each other, on how we relate to other nations. You know, how we can create, when we relate to our environment, how we can create a just society. That's what the issue. How we can create a just society where we have respect for each other, respect for rule of law, and all this. Now, in a country such as ours, you have asked to politics and justice. There is so much, I would say, without fear of contradiction, there's so much political interference in the justice process. You have talked about the IG here. The IG telling us, I listened to him outside the Central Police Station behind our university there. And he said certain things. And even mentioned DIG Lagat. And he was standing next to him. People are saying behind. I thought I saw him to his side. And they were standing there. And he said he's the one who was wronged. And the DIG did not say anything. But I want to say, who knows, maybe the IG was actually responding to orders from above. I heard the investigator here was saying he could have investigated and then take 3 hours, then issue the statement. You are given orders, say this, issue this statement. Perhaps they never imagined that we would get where we are today. I would imagine, because these people are also playing politics. And for me, that is the really problem. We must have our public officers who actually adhere to the public officers' ethics. They should read even the Public Service, Chapter 13 of the Constitution, and see what values and ethics of public officers. Being professional, doing their work professionally, not taking cue from anybody else, but on the basis of the evidence, and also looking at the public interest. Unfortunately, when we mix politics, then we start losing sight of justice, or public interest, truthfulness. We go far away from what justice is supposed to be, and then we serve political interests rather than serving justice as really the bedrock of the fabric of our society.
Okay. Wakili.
Well, you know, politics and the law are brothers and sisters. They have a way in which they influence each other. Because you will see that sometimes it will take a lot of political push for us to have some legal reforms. And then when we have legal reforms, this law is going to ensure that we control, or we control the manner in which our politics is done. So sometimes and often it is very difficult for you to separate between the workings of the law and politics. But be that as it may, there is a way in which the law is taken to supersede the political will, because politics is always about convenience, is what is about what is popular at the moment. That is what is politics. But what the law is, the law becomes static. The law becomes a reminder of what you thought was good at a certain point in your life. So that because, you know, people have different changes in moods, they have changes in perceptions, so they will want to change the law because of their change in their political stand. Right now, if someone resurrected from the dead, someone who died in the year 2022, if they resurrected from the dead and found that the former deputy president, the current former deputy president, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, is now serving in the opposition and he's not in the ruling party, the party that he fought so hard to have in office, someone will be very shocked. And that is how fragile politics is, as opposed to law, because the law remains static until it has been subjected to a procedure in parliament.
So politics is dynamic.
Yes, that is the point, really. So when you want to look at politics, our politicians know that too well, and they use the law to influence also the politics of the day. If you want to go back, you know, during the times of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and, you know, if you want to look at the history behind, you know, this crime called robbery with violence, and the rationale behind robbery with violence being an unbailable offense, as at that point, it was used as a political tool to ensure that if you have a different political persuasion than the ruling class of that time, then you will be taken in of very frivolous grounds of robbery with violence. And then, because the law then did not allow you to enjoy what we have now as your right to bail, then you will be in a certain detention. They will keep you in some cold room there. Then they will control the politics of the day. Same thing happens even in the current situation now. If for some reason, you know, our political class are a class of thieves, and I'm sorry, and I'm saying this with a lot of respect. They know too well.
Be sorry. That's what they are.
The ambassador has said I should not be sorry. Yeah. I am not going to be sorry.
Okay.
So they know too well that, you know, this one has some scandal, the other one has some scandal, and they will just keep mum about it. Up until a time when you have now taken a different political persuasion from the political class of the day, those who are deemed to be politically correct at that moment. Then what was your skeleton will now be taken out. You know, you will now be accused of having traded, you know, abused your office by, you know, trading with someone who was...
KRA remittance.
Yes, KRA remittance. You know, that is how now politics of this country is used to control.
What I'm trying to say is that politics, law is used politically speaking when it is relevant.
Of course, of course. You know, our leaders, our leaders rule by law. They think the law is an inconvenience. We do not have a rule by law. We have, you know, when it is convenient, we change the law. When it is not convenient, we implement the law.
You said about politicians, but what about Wanjiku? Who doesn't want to play politics? Because Wanjiku doesn't have that frame or that platform to play politics when law is applied.
Of course, Wanjiku is always a victim of, you know, the loss of trust. We trust people. But what now is given back or reciprocated to us is that loss of trust.
Okay.
Will almost often go to the streets to demonstrate, will be picketing, will be complaining on social media, on this show by Victor Olo to complain.
That Wanjiku will be having a different platform to express herself when law is applied to her unfairly.
Well...
because going to the street is not the right way to seek for justice then.
I think there is a confusion here with what we are trying to discuss.
Go ahead.
Professionalism does not allow politics anywhere. Professionalism is a question of integrity and ethics, completely. The moment you are swayed to make a wrong decision because of political appointment, then you are wrong. And that is where now we should deviate from. He's mentioned something to do with robbery with violence.
Yes.
I don't think a politician would be jailed with robbery with violence in this country unless he participated. Because there are ingredients that brings that charge. In fact, when we are talking in the set, we need not to actually misinform the public. There are charges that cannot see the light of the day unless the ingredients are very open. In fact, he should be saying that politics has messed us more. That even where we had achieved a progression have now been turned to be very easy. That's why there's too much robbery. And then again, where investigators can be blamed is that the ingredient of robbery with violence was lowered to even somebody who has just threatened you with a knife. So it depended also on the investigator. Actually, that's how most of the people ended up being released or made to suffer in jail. You see, the only thing that has helped this country is that many people do not know their rights.
Yes.
If people have been taken to jail and have been released under Section 86, that's why, to them, if you are released under Section 87A, they are very happy because they have already released you. But they don't know that you can be charged again. So those are the areas that they need to help this country with, because they are the ones who are practicing law, and they're the ones who are also living those chances. Because this is a progression where they negotiate with those prosecutors. I don't have my witness, just release him under Section 87A. He's taken his cut, he's gone. He has not repaired society. That boy has not left to steal. You see, and they negotiate in this process. These are facts. You see, these are facts.
The witnesses.
These are facts. Sometimes they are the ones who talk to the witnesses.
The defender is getting accused.
No, they are the ones
who negotiate with the prosecutor.
Yes, sometimes they are the ones who negotiate with the witnesses.
That is the name of the game. But that you've raised a very good question, of which I wanted to ask you. Do Kenyans really know their rights? Mtu anasema, najua haki yangu, I know my rights.
They do. They do. Our rights are engraved in our laws and our constitution. And there is so much civic education,
but it seems
political
just
education
that has been done in statement, Dr.
Yeah.
I know my rights.
Yeah.
And now when pushed to the corner, you'll realize that there is just so much.
But it's the
we
context.
Go mute.
Victor, is the context, and what was mentioned. People are fearing on all this. The context within which we operate, poverty and all these issues, they come to bear on how strong one can stand. And I said one of the education changing us. Do we have the conviction that I can stand and fight for my rights, whatever happens? Yeah, knowing that I will stand by what is right, whatever happens. Or I could be given 2 million shillings, keep quiet and praise and sing the songs. God has come to me, has come and visited me with all these bounties. People know they are right, but their circumstances is the problem. So for us, and I will say, economic rights and other rights, political, name it, actually are all intertwined. So when we are weak in terms of our economic empowerment, then we're vulnerable. We might not be able to defend. Then we say, if I went out to the street, where am I going to leave my children? Or if I want to say, and I'm identified, I may suffer certain consequences. But we need to empower our people and ensure that we stand by what is right. Again, that's a question of values, integrity, having those principles engraved in our hearts.
Yes.
That we can come out and defend our rights. But saying they don't know, people know their rights. They know, for example, that election is about casting a ballot for the person that you want to elect. Then at the corner of the polling station, someone stands there with some money, with a bag of money, and gives people 500 shillings. And when they get there, it's like, oh, at least this one has given me something. So they vote for them. Don't they know that they have the right to choose the leadership, not through such influences? People know that, but there are vulnerabilities, and I'm not excusing their vulnerabilities, but I'm saying
about that.
We need to stand strong. We need to stand strong as a Kenyan people. For instance, again, environmental rights. People know what is right, what is to be done, but their circumstances compel them to do things otherwise. Does the state, the management of public affairs, the officers who manage public officers, actually reinforce?
Is there
reinforce that behavior, positive behavior?
Again, this is a question to all of you.
Yeah.
Is there a threshold or a limit of rights that a person should work with or know? When you say, I know my rights, right to life, right of movements, right to expression and all that, what is the threshold? So that when pushed to the corner, you can easily defend yourself to a certain level before you get a legal representation. Wakili?
Well, Victor, permit me to take a different, perspective from what the good ambassador has mentioned about people knowing their rights. I am a person who lives so much into the community. And I have been doing a lot of work in Kajiado North constituency, in Kajiado, and even Nairobi, everywhere.
You'll tell us more about that.
So I will tell you for a fact.
Don't assume that.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, we live in society as well.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. And I will tell you for a fact that people don't know their rights. But even while I say so, I must also quickly mention that people have a sense of what is right. But they really do not know what their rights are. And I'll just give you a very basic example.
Just a sense.
Yes. They have a sense.
Which people, Victor? Are we talking about the general public?
We are here to speak about the common man.
Yes.
Wanjiko, Omolo, Atieno, we are here to speak about them. Because you see, these are the elites in our community. I mean, Ambassador, for all we know, Ambassador knows his rights. My very good friend here, the investigator, also knows his rights. So we are speaking about Wanjiko. This is the person that is watching us. The common man.
Gen Zs don't know their rights. They are the 70% of our population in Africa.
I'm saying, yes.
They do.
Let me just return the microphone back to me. So I'm saying, a majority of us do not know our rights.
Yeah.
But we have a sense of what is right. We know that we feel this is not right, we feel this is wrong, So, and you get this feeling when you interact with the common person. For one example, if you want to look at people addressing their needs, when it comes to political accountability, if people have bad roads, what the political elites or what the elites will do in the society is this. My friends here, instead of championing for good roads, they will probably go and buy an SUV. Because they have that money, they have the money in their pockets to go and address that issue. If they have a problem with security, what they do, we have electric fences, we have cameras. Guards, we have cameras. Dogs. These are the people who know for sure they have a right to security. But they go on and hire G4S, they will hire HR security, they will hire, which is good. I mean, these are men and women in this country who are also looking for employment. Yeah. But this is just to underscore and to tell you that indeed, even while people have a sense of what is right, they really do not know their rights. And they cannot fight to enforce their rights.
Let me interject. State failure, for instance, that is actually state failure. If the state fails to provide security, and I hire my security, it does not mean that I don't know my rights. I know my rights, but the state has failed to provide or to respect those rights and provide for them.
So Victor, now that is where I get in.
People know.
Because if Ambassador knows his right for sure to security, then the question will be, if you know what belongs to you, don't you know ways and means of enforcing that, as opposed to taking a shortcut, which of course tells us that you're not keen on enforcing your right. So it means if people are not building roads, if we have people who are not maintaining our security, and we're not putting them to account, we are actually encouraging them to be negligent on duty. We are telling them that it is okay for you not to build our roads. It is okay for you not to provide security because I have an alternative. And yet, this person is paid by your taxes to be in that office to provide that which he's supposed to provide to you, the security and all these things.
Yeah, that's a different
Victor, the context, actually, let me mention something, Victor.
Yes.
Please, just
I want to bring Tom in this.
Yes. I mentioned about context, which is very important. For example, the government does not give capitation to schools. Delays the capitation.
Yes.
The parent wants the child to be in school, and they are asked to pay some money to maintain the students at school.
Yes.
And the parent pays. Not that the parent is not aware of the rights, but state failure and the context within which the parent finds herself or himself compels them to provide an alternative. And there is nothing wrong by providing an alternative, but there is something wrong that the state does not meet its responsibility, or those actually have the responsibility to take care of these rights are not doing it.
Ambassador, it's wrong. That is
it is wrong. I am saying it is wrong.
You are encouraging bad behavior.
That's not what I'm saying. We are agreeing between me and you that, but what I'm disagreeing is that it does not mean they are not aware of their rights. We're saying how can we ensure that the public now is competent enough to stand up for their rights. That is the difference.
Yes, Tom. I love the way Daktari has given you that
because Daktari wants to, Daktari thinks that we are his students here. And one of the things is that Daktari, you are the ones actually who are actually misusing this society. Because I would want to tell you, look at the people who actually went to school in the early 80s. Yes. Most of these guys were just taught by UTs. Actually, untrained teachers, people probably who did not even perform to get to A level. But those guys were dedicated to this society, and they made people who are professors today. I believe you in your village.
Even him.
Even in your village.
I was taught by such people.
Yes. So why didn't you both leave? From when did you start demonstrating? When you want to talk about the right of a society. You know, right and knowing are two different issues. Because what informs you about the right you're talking about? That is where the challenge is.
I ask a question. Are there certain rights that Wanjiku should know? As I step out of my house, these are my rights. Even when I'm in my house, these are my rights.
You know, rights, actually, if we had a justifiable society, right starts with the government. And the government has an official to the level of assistant chief.
Thank you.
So assistant chief, that's why assistant chief is allowed to be calling barazas. What matters, where the question lies, is he an assistant chief who is up to the threshold?
Thank you. I want us to do something here, and I only have 5 minutes to finalize this. Gentlemen, Tom, on the front page of that local daily,
yes,
you have that's a Daily Nation.
Yes.
Please just raise it and show it to your camera. Where's your camera? Front page, front page, front page, front page.
Front page?
Yes, front page. What's on the front page of the Daily Nation? Just read it out for us.
How Lagarde fell.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the explainer there? If you can read it.
Deputy Inspector General of Police, Eliud Lagarde, finally yields to sustained public pressure and steps aside to allow for investigation into the killing of teacher cum blogger Albert Ojwang in police custody. What started with a defamatory post on social media now threatens to end the career of the police force second in command while stoking anger over extrajudicial killings and President Ruto's regime.
Thank you. Dr. On the front page of the Standard?
Now,
you can just raise it for the camera.
I don't know where my camera,
yeah,
the
that's
camera
is. Yeah, that's the camera.
No. It says no, just resign.
No, just resign.
Just resign.
Explainer?
Even as Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagarde announced that he was stepping aside following pressure over the killing of Albert Ojwang after his name repeatedly came up in the matter. Public anger only intensified. Many now demand his resignation and prosecution, like others already in court. Kenyans remain steadfast in their push for justice. They see through the familiar tactic of diffusing outrage with symbolic gestures, stepping aside only to be quieted instead later.
Thank you. All right, so in 1 minute, I only have 2 minutes. Do we have the word stepping aside in the law?
No, this is just another, semantic
because
gymnastics.
The two, yeah, stepping aside.
Yes,
does it appear anywhere?
These are semantic gymnastics meant to just, play safe in the situation or circumstance. The only befitting thing will have been for either the Deputy Inspector General of Police to be interdicted, to resign, to retire, or to be dismissed from employment. Some of these creations, it's a creation he's making as though this is his office. This is not his office. This is a public office. You don't choose when to step aside. If it is your work, you will choose when to step aside for you to go for a holiday and to come back. But this is public office. There are certain parameters through which we operate. This creation he has come up with of stepping aside, I don't know where it is coming from, for sure. We must be, we must be taught. We are students. The professor is here. We can be taught and exposed to this new area of law called stepping aside. I have not seen it anywhere.
Does it appear anywhere, Tom?
Well, in the ethics of practice, when you say that you have stepped aside, it means that there are consultations which have actually told you to step aside. There is an authority.
Okay.
Which has actually investigated the issues internally, and they've seen that you have a question to answer. Now you are asked to step aside to face the process of the law. What matters now, Victor, before I can step out, because I don't know whether you are going to give me another 1 minute.
No, we are done.
The question here is, the manner this investigation is going is wrong. We need to implore the Judicial Commission of Inquiry to have a listen to every incident, every participant, anybody who has any information on this. Because here now, the whole center of police service is implicated. And in that angle, I would tell you, we can now not, the public are not going to trust the police anymore. So the only way this country can move forward is to bring Judicial Commission of Inquiry. That is what the president remains with.
Thank you. Dr.
I would say, Victor.
Just 10 seconds, if you can.
Yes, I can say, Victor, that in fact, when you were here last week, I said the president should have fired him. Yeah, because the buck stops with the president. This is a serious issue of security and also public interest. So Lagarde's resignation, or even resignation, whatever it is, we should not see it really as a step, really positive step towards sorting out this matter. Lagarde should have stepped aside immediately. It was mentioned by his boss, if he has the integrity.
Yeah.
But because of lack of it, he has stayed for more than almost 10 days now to tell us he's stepping down. What kind of person is he? A public officer who behaves like that? I would have stepped aside if I'm innocent. Another thing is, I don't know how this investigation is going to go, and I agree with Tom. He's saying that we need an independent, an inquiry to be done into this matter and the other deaths that have happened in this country that I didn't explain. Reason being, in the middle of this, we see publicly the father saying he has been given money. There are things that are happening that are likely to injure this process. What if the father said, I'm no longer interested? Is that justice? Are we changing our country for the better? Are we ending these extrajudicial killings by the police, and I would say by the state? I'll end it there.
What a way to end that discussion. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. I think we've done well today. We have done well. The question is, do you know your rights? The question is, do you know your rights? Even you, Wakili, do you know your rights?
Yes.
There's a point where your rights could be...
Yeah, fight for mine.
Exactly. So you also need to fight for your right.
And if possible, your rights and somebody else's rights.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
So
but
we
people
need to
confuse between rights, duties, and obligations. They start begging where they have a right, and they start pushing where they should be begging.
But the common denominator is we need to follow the law.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Richard Bosino is a lecturer of political science. University of Nairobi. Asante sana for coming. Shadrack Omboi, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, also joining me on set, and Tom Duku, who is a criminal justice and a background investigator. He's an expert in that area. Gentlemen, asante sana for coming to the show. And you, as a viewer, thank you so much for your valid company. Goodbye. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Semana Spokes.
Bonga na gava.
Hapo.
Semana Spokes is a bold, enlightening television show that offers Kenyans a direct line to the heart of government operations. Hosted by the government spokesman, Isaac Mwaura.
Welcome to Semana Spokes, Bonga na gava.
This weekly program features candid conversations with senior government officials, cabinet secretaries, and heads of key parastatals as they break down their ministries' achievements, challenges, and strategic plans.
Cage aquaculture farming, 8.7 billion.
Yes.
So there's a lot of money.
There's a lot of, and we have not even tapped the potential.
As we get closer to start constructing the first nuclear program, we should have a robust regulatory framework.
Thank you, the spokesperson, for this chance, where we are able to converse with our government.
Semana Spokes.
Hii sio story ya jaba.
Sio story ya jaba. Mimi ni Mkenya mzalendo daima.
Thank you.
Tuesday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
upande wa pili wa studio. Mtazamaji, ni saa 2:06 saa za kanda ya Afrika ya Mashariki. Mahali popote ulipo, ni tarehe 17 mwezi Juni mwaka wa 2025. Mtazamaji, ni siku 5 tu baada waziri wa hazina ya kitaifa Mheshimiwa John Mbadi kuwasilisha makadirio ya bajeti ya serikali mwaka wa 2025-2026. Je, maoni yako kuhusiana na bajeti hii ni yapi? Na je, baada ya bajeti ile kusoma, mtazamaji, unahisi kwamba ilikuwa ni bajeti ya mwananchi? Ndio swala ambalo tutakuwa tunalijadili hapa ndani ya studio. Mpenzi mtazamaji, mahali popote ulipo, karibu sana mpenzi mtazamaji. Kumbuka, ilikuwa ni bajeti ya trilioni 4.2 kutoka ile awali ya trilioni 3.9, ikiwa ni bajeti kubwa tangu Kenya kuweza kujinyakulia uhuru wake miaka 62 iliyopita. Mtazamaji, karibu sana, tuendelee na kipindi hiki. Wengi wanauliza, je, bajeti hii inagusa masuala muhimu ya mwananchi? Ili kuyajibu masuala haya na mengi, mpenzi mtazamaji, studioni niko nao wageni, tutakuwa tunajadili swala hili. Ninaye hapa aliyekuwa naibu gavana wa kaunti ya Vihiga, Mheshimiwa Patrick Saisi Daktari. Karibu sana ndani ya studio.
Asante sana.
Na vile pia niko naye mkurugenzi mtendaji wa muungano wa wazalishaji nchini Kenya, ni Kenya Association of Manufacturers, ndugu Tobias Alande. Karibu sana bwana Tobias.
Asante sana.
Na labda nikianza na wewe ndugu Tobias, maoni yako kuhusiana na bajeti hii ya trilioni 4.2 kama Mkenya ni yapi?
Ukilinganisha bajeti ya Kenya na wenzetu Tanzania, Rwanda na nchi zinginezo, unaona kwamba bajeti yetu ni kubwa kushinda hizo nchi zingine. Na ni ukweli kabisa ni kubwa kwa sababu Kenya ni ekonomi ya Kenya. So watu wasiseme pesa ni mingi. Tumeweka 4.2 trillion, pesa mingi sana. Tunaweza idimisha lengo letu kama wa Kenya.
Yes.
Na hii bajeti ukweli tunaweza idimisha lengo letu. Bajeti imetengwa ili tuimarishe uchumi yetu. Hiyo ndio lengo la kwanza. Lengo la pili ni kuboresha ajira. Kwa vile ukiona vile wametenga pesa ni kusaidia sekta mbalimbali ili tuweze kupata ajira kwa wananchi wetu. Kwa maoni yangu, bajeti imekuwa what I call fair. Na lengo lake ni kuimarisha uchumi ili Kenya izidi kuwa katika ile kipaumbele katika ekonomia kulingana na wenzao wako Tanzania na Uganda. Lazima so naona bajeti ni mzuri ili ni kwamba kama sekta zote zitafuatiliwa, then natumaini kwamba tutaimarika kama nchi.
Bila shaka.
Yeah.
Amezungumzia nukta mbili muhimu mtazamaji, na kuboresha ajira, ikanipeleka kwa kauli kutoka kwa Wizara ya Fedha, ambapo kauli mbiu ama ni kuchochea ustawi endelevu wa uchumi kwa ajili ya kuboresha ajira na ustawi wa biashara na viwanda kwa kutumia mwelekeo wa uchumi wa bottom up. Wacha nirudi kwako Daktari Saisi, na wewe kwanza hivi bajeti hii unaizungumzia vipi ya trilioni?
Kwangu mimi nimeona ni bajeti nzuri kwa sababu kwanza weka pesa mfukoni wa wananchi. Kwa hivyo kwa sababu umeona ya kwamba hawajashika mambo ya income tax na vitu vingine. Mimi naona wamejaribu sana kuweka pesa mfukoni mwa wananchi. Alafu pia nimeona ya kwamba hii bajeti ni kwamba hawajaongeza ushuru mahali ambapo wanaongeza tu kidogo ama wanaacha hivyo. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa, kwa sababu unajua kuna vitu viwili ambavyo watu huwa tunaangalia sana wa Kenya. Kuna ile income ukishika hapo uongeze, utaona vile watu wangeshika wangeenda kwenye streets. Lakini vile wamemoderate hiyo mambo ya income na vile mambo ya VAT, mambo yamekuwa mazuri. Ni biashara tu ndio wameangalia huko kidogo waweze kujaza kikapu. Lakini mwananchi wa kawaida nafikiri kwa kizungu anasema it's a lenient ndugu yangu atasema kwa sababu kule ndio wameelekeza mambo ya ushuru.
Hebu tumsikize.
Kwa biashara tulikuwa na matumaini mingi na zungumzia sekta ya manufacturing pale inawakilisha wenzetu. Ukiangalia katika sekta ya manufacturing ile tunaita contribution to the GDP imepunguza kutoka 7.5 to 7.3 imepunguza na nukta mbili ama tatu hivi. Hiyo ni kutuonyesha ni lazima serikali ifanye mikakati ili kuongeza contribution ya manufacturing to the GDP. Na ukiangalia allocation ya budget wamejaribu kutimiza ama kutimiza hayo matakwa yetu. Ukiangalia kuna milioni 300,000 imetengwa kusupport MSMEs wenye biashara ndogo. Ukiangalia tena kwa vile wenye biashara ndogo wako na kazi kubwa sana katika uchumi wetu. Wasipotengewa pesa ile kuwasaidia, then itakuwa shida kubwa. Na ukiangalia katika industrial park, kile kinaitwa industrial park, bilioni 4.5 billion imetengwa kwa ile tunaitwa county integrated agro industry parks, kutengeneza viwanda huko mashinani. Kwa vile manufacturing haifai kuwa tu Nairobi peke yake. Haifai kuwa tu hizi county kubwa peke yake. So serikali imejaribu kutenga pesa ili tuweze kuexpand manufacturing katika county kadhaa, 4.5 billion. Kusaidia watu wa kahawa bilioni 1 imetengwa, 1.1 bilioni imetengwa. Kama inaitwa revolving fund, ile pesa ambayo watu wanaweza kuwa wanakopa, wanafanya nao biashara, wanarudisha katika ile sekta ya agriculture. Kusaidia sekta kuna milioni 700 million. Sekta ya textile imetengwa ili kusaidia sekta ya textile. Muhimu sana na ile tunasema ni muhimu kwa vile katika sekta ya manufacturing kwa sana bilioni imetengwa to expand the grid ili tuwe na enough power to manufacture our products. Positive side, I would say a positive side, na serikali imejaribu kufanya ili wenye viwanda wazidi grow. But kuna area moja tu.
Ngoja tutarudi hapo kwa negative. Mtazamaji, ni saa 2:15 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Studioni ni naye afisa huyu mkuu wa KAM, yani Kenya Association of Manufacturers, ndugu Tobias Alando yuko ndani ya studio, na vile pia tuko naye hapa aliyekuwa naibu gavana wa gatuzi la Vihiga, Daktari Patrick Saisi. Mpenzi mtazamaji, tukiangazia mtazamaji bajeti ya mwaka kwa Daktari Saisi. Hii bajeti ambayo ilisomwa, Waziri Mbadi alitumia jumla ya saa 2 na dakika kadhaa kuisoma. Ni areas gani wewe ambazo uliona hapa yenyewe nimezipenda, ziko sawa?
Kwa vile nilisema ya kwamba hii bajeti ilikuwa nzuri sana kwa mwananchi wa kawaida, pengine nifafanue kidogo. Nilisema mambo ya income. Ukiangalia, alisema ya kwamba kama utakuwa unapata your per diem 2,000 mpaka 10,000 hawata tax. Lakini walikuwa wanasema ni 2,000 ndio hutakuwa tax. Lakini wamesema mpaka 10,000. Yani wewe ukienda Vihiga kule utembee kama KBC na kupatia 10,000 mfukoni, hakuna hata ndururu serikali ita tax. Hilo ni jambo ambalo nimeona ni nzuri. Alafu jambo lingine ambalo nimeona ni kwamba wewe kama unaenda kuzeeka, una retire. Ukiretire wewe unapewa pension yako. Hiyo pension has been imekuwa ikitaxiwa ama gratuity, lump sum money ambayo unapewa baada ya muda fulani. Hiyo hawata tax. Wewe unaenda na pesa zako hivyo hivyo. Na hapa nyuma walikuwa wana tax pesa nyingi, 30% ni pesa nyingi. Can you imagine sasa hizo wamekuachia unaenda nazo nyumbani. Sio ni mzuri sana. Alafu vile nimeona tena vijana wanatakiwa wajenge manyumba. Wale manyumba affordable housing na nini, wamesema pale ya kwamba kama ukienda benki uchukue mortgage. Hiyo mortgage interest ambayo utakuwa unalipia, hiyo watakuwa wana deduct kutoka kwa salary yako kabla ya taxation. So hivi ukiendelea unakuta ya kwamba mimi nimeona hii ni nzuri kwa mwananchi wa kawaida. Ndio sababu nilisema hivyo.
Okay. Kabla kurudi kwako Dr. Saisi, nirudi tena kwake ndugu Tobias. Ulielezea uzuri wa bajeti hii kwa wafanyi biashara, lakini ukasema pia kuna ubaya wake. Nirudi kwako kabla.
Sisemi ni ubaya kabisa, but ni sheria ambayo serikali inachukua kuaddress mambo ya VAT refunds. Inaitwa VAT refunds. Kuna bidhaa ambazo zilitolewa katika ile kitengo tunaita zero rate, zikapelekwa katika ile kitengo inaitwa exempt. So katika kitengo ya zero rate unalipa 16% VAT kwa bidhaa zote ambazo unanunua. Kwa ule anatengeneza hizo bidhaa, ile inputs ananunua kutengeneza hizi bidhaa pia analipa 16% VAT. So ukishatengeneza bidhaa umelipa 16% VAT, unarudi kwa KRA, una claim VAT refunds. Ukitolewa katika ile kitengo ya VAT zero rate uwekwe kwa exempt, inamaanisha nikitengeneza bidhaa na nilipe 16% VAT on my inputs, sitaweza kuclaim VAT refunds. Hiyo inamaanisha ile cost ya production ya hizo bidhaa tunatengeneza lazima tuzi absorb. Na kuabsorb ni kumaanisha nitapitisha cost ya inputs kwa the final product. So kama natengeneza maji imeletwa kwa exempt, sasa I cannot claim, siwezi claim VAT refund. So hiyo cost inapelekwa kwa the final product. Mwenye ananunua atabeba mzigo ya hiyo VAT. So hiyo ndio tulikuwa tunaona ni kama ni ngumu kidogo, kwa vile itafanya bei ya bidhaa ambazo tunatengeneza hapa nchini kuwa ghali zaidi. Lakini serikali National Treasury ilitueleza kwamba wanajaribu kuaddress mambo ya VAT refunds, because kumekuwa na lot of backlog on refunds, na njia moja ambayo wataweza kuaddress mambo ya VAT refund ni ku move bidhaa zingine from zero rate to exempt.
Okay. Nikirudi kwako Dr. Saisi, Nilikuwa pale bungeni juzi, waziri akiwasilisha makadirio ya bajeti ya mwaka 2025-2026 na katika utangulizi wake alisema kwamba ile bajeti aliyoiwasilisha inaenda sambamba na ajenda ya serikali ya BETA, yani bottom up economic transformation agenda. Katika maoni yako kuna 5 areas ambazo zina deal na mambo ya BETA. Do you think the recent budget factored in hizi areas vizuri?
Asante sana. Mimi kuna vitu fulani ambavyo nilikuwa nikiangalia kwa budget, vitu ambavyo ni vya muhimu. Sana sana mambo ya ukulima, agriculture. Wewe kama hujashiba hutafanya kazi vizuri.
Kweli.
Na naona hapo wali inject karibu 70 billion in that. Na nikaona sio mbaya kwa sababu mambo ya fertilizer na other inputs wakipatia mkulima wa kawaida, basi hapo tutakuwa sawa. Nikaangalia pia wewe kama kila wakati wewe ni mgonjwa, ukienda hospitali hakuna madawa, hakuna nini. Nikaona wamefanya vizuri, wameweka karibu 136 billion or something like that. Alafu unajua kuondoa ujinga lazima elimu iweko. Na hiyo elimu wameipatia kibaumbele. Kuwapatia around 700 billion shillings. To me it matters a lot kwa sababu kama huna elimu wewe sio rahisi kuishi maisha mazuri. Kwa hivyo mimi hizo ndizo areas niliona, na barabara pia nikaona wameweka pesa hapo. Kwa hivyo hizo ndio areas mimi naona kama wewe uko na elimu ya kutosha, wewe umeshiba, wewe unaweza enda kazini ufanye kwa bidii. Ukiwa mgonjwa unaweza enda hospitali utibiwe, vitu kama hivyo. Mimi those areas ndio nilikuwa naangazia sana kuliko areas zingine. Ingawaje pia niliona infrastructure kwa sababu bila barabara hatuwezi beba vitu vyetu kutoka rural areas kuleta urban areas kuuza na vitu kama hivyo. Kwa hivyo hapo mimi nilipendezewa na hapo.
Kuna wale ambao wanauliza kwamba sekta ya afya ni muhimu sana katika ustawi wa taifa lolote lile. Umesema kwamba hatuwezi kufanya kazi mpaka tuwe na nguvu. Na vile vile pia hatuwezi kufanya kazi kama tuko wagonjwa. Na ni vitu ambavyo vinaingiliana. Wengi wanauliza mbona sekta ya elimu itaengewe zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 700 ilhali sekta ya afya itaengewe bilioni 133.
Nafikiri hiyo kwangu mimi naona ya kwamba kuondoa umaskini lazima mtu asome na kuwa na matarajio ya ubunifu na nini lazima elimu iwe ya juu.
Kweli.
Na wakati sio kila mtu anakuwa mgonjwa at the same time. Unaona, lakini elimu lazima tusome wote. Unaona? So unakuta ya kwamba watu ambao wanaenda kwa vyuo mbalimbali, shule mbalimbali, capitation and so on, zinatakiwa pesa nyingi. Na mambo ya health yako very important pia, lakini sijaona where everybody at once ni mgonjwa anatakiwa aende hospitali. Kuna wale ambao si wagonjwa wanalipia wale ambao ni wagonjwa. Unaona? So inapokezana hivyo. Kwa hivyo mimi naona education kupewa pesa nyingi ni vizuri kwa sababu iko na watu wengi sana at the same time compared to health ambayo pengine maybe ni 2% ama 1% ya Kenyans who are sick. Lakini ukiangalia population ya wale ambao wanaenda shule, colleges and so on ni wengi sana, na wanahitaji pesa ili waweze kuhitimisha universities and so on.
Bila shaka. Mtazamaji, ni 2:24. Najua kuna wengine kwa sasa ndo wanaamka katika ujenzi wa taifa. Kila mtu ana nyakati zake za kuamka kujenga taifa. Basi endapo labda umeamka ukaamua kwamba unataka kujenga taifa kwa kusikiliza redio, basi redio si nyingine, ni KBC Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya. Ni redio yako ambayo inakuelimisha, inakuburudisha, inakupatia taarifa ambazo huzijui na inakutoa taka za masikio. Na endapo ndo kwa sasa umeamka ukafungua runinga yako, kumbuka kipindi ni GMK kikioana na Zinga. Usiulize padri na pasta kuzioanisha ni nani. Mtazamaji, tunaangalia aftermath ya budget ya mwaka 2025-2026. Mimi naitwa Rashid Mwamkondo, upande mwingine yupo mwenzangu kule Dora Manya, na kule kwingine yuko Victor na yuko Vivian na yuko vile vile pia mic. Lakini kwa sasa ndani ya studio niko naye hapa afisa mkuu wa Kenya Association of Manufacturers ndugu Tobias Alando, na niko naye aliyekuwa naibu gavana wa gatuzi la Vihiga Daktari Mheshimiwa Patrick Saisi. Nikirudi kwako ndugu Tobias Alando, Waziri Mbadi ametetea bajeti akisema kwamba amefunga gaps, amefunga loopholes, mianya ambayo ingetoa milango ya ufisadi. Sijui mahali unaposimama unaichukuliaje swala hili? Ni kweli kwamba katika bajeti ya Mbadi amefunga mianya ya corruption?
Ni ukweli kabisa. Kuna kitu moja ambao walipitisha, akasema ikifika mwezi wa 7 procurement itakuwa inafanywa online kwa system. Na ukiangalia nchi yetu ambapo most of the leakage imekuwa through procurement.
True.
So hii procurement kama wanaweza fanya ikiwe katika system, foolproof system, natumaini serikali itaweza save a lot of money. Hii wamekuwa wakipoteza through procurement, na hata Wakenya pia wanaweza pata bidhaa ambazo zinastahili wapate kwa bei nafuu.
Ndio.
Kwa sababu procurement imekuwa very bad avenue for corruption. So natumaini hiyo ni jambo mzuri wanafanya. So tunangoja kuona vile itatimizwa.
Ndio. Umezungumzia kuhusiana na contribution ya manufacturers nchini, ukasema kwamba imepungua from 7.5% to 7.3% katika masuala ya GDP. Labda mahali ulipo in your own assessment, mbali na wafanyabiashara wadogo ambao umeliangazia, je, unahisi sekta gani muhimu ukiwewe zilitengewa pesa ujenzi?
So awali hapo nimeongea juu ya sekta ya manufacturing, na pesa ya industrial park ambayo ni mzuri. Kuna sekta ya kilimo which is agriculture, pia imetengewa pesa, coffee, tea, kudimisha vile zitakuwa. Sekta ya tourism pia ni sekta muhimu. Tumaini kuwa wageni watazidi kuja Kenya, kwa vile wageni wakija Kenya wanatupatia inaitwa foreign exchange earning for Kenya, na ajira kwa wale ambao wanafanya katika mahoteli. So tuko na matumaini kuwa hiyo itaendelea kudimishwa. Kuna pia sekta muhimu ambayo tujaongelea na inatengewa pesa kubwa sana, ni ya security.
Yes.
Nchi ambayo haina amani na biashara pia haiwezi endelea. Ndio maana unaona serikali imetenga pesa kubwa sana kwa security ili ilinde watu wake. Tukikuwa na shida katika border, tukiwa na shida internally juu ya security ama maandamano, biashara haimariki. So Wakenya lazima tujue ni muhimu kuwa Kenya ilindwe kwa ndani na kwa nje. Na pia ukiangalia wanaitwa global dynamics, kuna mambo yanaendelea huko nje ambayo yanaweza kutudhiri. So lazima tujitayarishe kama Wakenya na tukue na amani ili tuweze kufanya biashara yetu. Yeah.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, miongoni mwa sekta ambazo amezizungumzia ndugu Tobias Alando ni sekta za usalama na ulinzi, ambapo kwa mara nyingine tena idara ya ulinzi iliongezewa fedha za kutosha, na vile vile pia idara ya usalama wa polisi imeongezewa fedha za kutosha. Nikirudi kwako Dr. Saisi, amezungumzia swala la kwamba taifa letu haliwezi kusonga mbele bila amani. Ili biashara ziwe vizuri, ili wageni waje, lazima tusioneshe picha ambazo kuna tear gas, tusionyeshe picha ambazo kuna rubber bullets, tusionyeshe kwamba kuna utovu wa usalama. Lakini hebu tuje hapa katika swala hili la usalama. Usalama umetengewa bajeti kubwa. Je, kivyako unahisi ile bajeti ambayo wamepatiwa usalama inafaa ifanye kazi vipi ndio tujivunie kwamba yes, sector defense na security imetengewa pesa za kutosha na impact yake ionekane?
Asante sana. Kwa kweli security ni kitu cha maana sana. Kwa sababu hata uwe na bajeti nzuri vipi, uwe na ukulima nini, na kama hakuna security, hakuna lolote litafanyika. Wewe ukitoka nyumbani unakuja huku, you are guaranteed ya kwamba utafika hapa, ufanye kazi, alafu urudi wapi? Urudi nyumbani. Lakini kama hakuna security, kunakuwa na mambo mengi. Kwa hivyo mimi ninaona security sana sana inatakiwa maaskari wetu wafanyiwe a lot of training. Training jinsi ya kuengage watu. Unaona? So that wanaweza kujua lile wanafanya linaweza pia likawa regelea. Unaona? Kama vile mambo yanaonekana. Kwa hivyo lazima wajue wanadili na binadamu. Kwa hivyo mimi capacity building of police hii budget inatakiwa ipewe kibao mbele. Alafu pia unajua tunaweza tukaongea tu juu ya Kenya pekee kwa sababu pia I'm assuming security means even defense. Lazima tuwe na vitu ambavyo ni modern vya kupigana kama shida inaweza tokea, unaweza kulinda nchi yako bila wasiwasi. Lakini ukiwa na dhana ambazo zilinunulia wakati nenda urudi, kila wakati mtu akikushtua hivi unashtuka kwa sababu bado you are not sure of your security. Kwa hivyo mimi naona ya kwamba kwa upande maaskari capacity building on them ifanyike. Kwa upande wa kununua vile vyombo inatakiwa wanunue vyombo vya kisasa ili tuweze kuwa na uhakika ya kwamba we are secure. Lakini hii mambo ya kila wakati ukienda huko chini unapiga simu kuna shida, unakuambia kuna mafuta kwa gari bana. Hapo kuna shida fulani. Unaona? Kwa sababu hilo jambo linasumbua sana in the rural areas. I come from Vihiga, hiyo ni rural area. Sasa ukisikia pengine vijana wanaleta vurugu huko, ukipiga simu wale jamaa wanakuambia mafuta hakuna, tuma mafuta bana. Na sisi tunaona amepewa bajeti nzuri. Sasa we are wondering shida ni nini? Kwa hivyo waweze kutumia hiyo pesa, wasiambie watu hakuna mafuta kwa gari. Unaona? Na wahakikishe ya kwamba wananchi wako well protected. Kama ni patrol inafanyika, kuwe na pesa za kupatrol. Unaona? Kwa hivyo tusiwe na mambo ya kusema hakuna hii hakuna ile. Ukienda gari pengine ni nut tu imetoka, wanasema wanangojea kutoka Nairobi, bolt ya gari tu. Nilienda kwa one of the police stations, wanasema bwana, gari yetu haina hizi nuts 5 ambazo zina cost maybe 1,000 or something. Wanangojea pengine itoke Nairobi. Surely there must be a way ya kutengeneza kwa empower kama ni OCS ama OCPD pesa ambazo wanaweza fix vitu vidogo vidogo kama hivyo. Ndio mimi naona kwa 10% yangu hapo.
Kuna swala ambalo hatuwezi kuliepuka. Ndio liko katika public domain. Saizi ukiangalia magazeti, ukisikiliza maredio, ukiangalia runinga, yote yanazungumziana kuhusu kifo cha bwana Albert Ojwang, ambapo hapo jana babake alimshukuru kiongozi wa taifa Rais Daktari William Ruto kwa kumpigia simu kukondol na yeye, na vile vile pia akamtumia ruzuku ya shilingi milioni 2. Na vidole vyote vya lawama vinaelekezwa kwa idara ya usalama. Hatusemi kwamba idara yetu ya usalama ni mbovu, maafisa wetu wa polisi ni wabaya, lakini ili swala hatuwezi kuliepuka. Kumetengwa kiwango fulani cha pesa, na jana ulimsikia Waziri Kipchumba Murkomen akisema in future lazima ile occurrence book OB iwe digital, na vile vile pia kwamba kila kituo cha polisi kiwe na CCTV camera. Sijui hii bajeti ambayo imetengewa na hizi reforms za polisi mtazungumzia vipi? Nikianza na ndugu Tobias Salando.
Nafikiri wametengewa pesa ya kutosha. Sasa ni hao wakae chini waone ni mambo gani ambao wanaweza tengeneza ama rekebisha kulingana na haya yaliyotokea kwa huyu ndugu wetu ambaye aliaga dunia. Hatuwezi sema hawana pesa. Sasa ni hao waamue ni hivi na vile tunafaa kurekebisha katika kituo cha polisi. Kama tunataka kudigitize hiyo process ya OB, kama ni CCTV tutaweka, tuweke CCTV katika kila police station, wafanye hivyo na wahudumie wa Kenya kama wenzao. Hakuna Mungu ama binadamu katika police station. Wahudumie Wakenya wote bila kuwadhulumu, ili ukuwe na hiyo trust. Unajua kama kuna trust kati ya mwananchi na polisi, sio mzuri. Na sio polisi wote ni wabaya. Kama kuna polisi wachache ambao wamekosa nidhamu, then sheria ichukue mkono wake na idil nao.
Labda nipate maoni yake ndugu Daktari Saizi.
Mimi kwanza nataka kutoa rambirambi zangu kwa mzee ambaye alimzaa Albert Ojwang, kwa sababu niliona akilia sana ya kwamba alikuwa mtoto wake peke yake. Hata kama ni watoto 10, mmoja hata akifa bana, bado ni kifo ni chungu. Sasa mimi ningependa tu, vile nimesema, maaskari lazima wafanyiwe capacity building in the areas ya kudili na vitu kama hivi. Alafu namba 2, nilisikia Waziri Murkomen akiongea mambo ya CCTV kuwekwa. Unajua hii CCTV kuwekwa bila backup, unaona what happened hapa kwa Central. Mtu anakuja anatoa tu, anaziba, alafu sasa hata uweke CCTV na somebody will tamper with them, haitasaidia. The most important thing that needs to be strengthened ni kwamba lazima maaskari wajue bila wananchi hawa hawata exist. We are there, that's why they are there. Now lazima wakisha, kama kuna shida, just summon somebody aje kwa police station. Usimfuate nyumbani anakula lunch na familia yake, alafu unaenda unamchukua and then anapotea, baadaye unasikia hivi. Let us have that humane way of handling these things. Kwa hivyo whether unaweka CCTV na binadamu wanaendelea kukosa adabu, still hautapata yale inatakiwa. Maybe hii CCTV, vile nilikuwa nafikiria, pengine CCTV we pale na lakini inside it inaenda maybe kwa regional na ingine iende kwa national, so that even if you tamper with it here, still bado inaonekana kule headquarters ama kwa regional. Unaona? So ni kama mtu anataka saa hii vile umesema digital, vitabu, hata ukichoma vitabu vya finance hapo na viko kwa kompyuta, hujafanya lolote.
Okay. Mtazamaji, ndivyo mambo yalivyo. 37 dakika baada ya saa 2, na jambo ambalo lilinifurahisha sana mtazamaji, wakati juzi Waziri John Mbadi akisoma bajeti ya mwaka 2025-2026 aliwaomba wabunge na ikakubalika na spika wasimame kwa dakika moja kwa heshima ya Wakenya waliopoteza maisha yao katika maandamano ya kupinga mswada wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2024. Kwa kweli ni swala ambalo kwangu mimi lilikuwa zito na lilikuwa na umuhimu mkubwa sana. Turudi kwenye swala letu la bajeti, nikirudi kwako ndugu Tobias Salando. Waziri Mbadi katika hotuba yake ile ya kutoa bajeti alizungumzia kuhusiana na kujumuishwa kwa mashirika ya kiserikali, taasisi za serikali na yale ambao vile vile pia yalifutiliwa mbali. Sijui mahali unapokaa swala hili unalionaje?
Kwa kweli nia ya serikali ni kupunguza ile expenditure na what we call kutoa ama kuungana kwa shirika mbalimbali za serikali ni nia nzuri sana, na mimi naiunga mkono because unakuta kuna shirika za serikali kadhaa wanafanya kazi moja. Kama ni taxes ama ni huduma, shirika hizi zote zinatoa same services, but at the same time wanalipisha ushuru kwa same services. So wakiziunganisha pamoja ama watoe zingine bila kufanya watu wakose kazi. Mimi niko soba na nisingependa mtu apoteze kazi. So waziunganishe pamoja, watu wasipoteze kazi, lakini waziunganishe pamoja ili Wakenya wahudumiwe katika laini moja. Otherwise vile ziko saizi, I think zilikuwa 22 parastatals, zilikuwa about 22 parastatals zilikuwa zinamajiwa,
zilikuwa 42
42 yes 42 parastatals zilikuwa zinakuwa merged. Lengo ni muhimu na tuna angalie ni hata within the parastatals that zinakuwa duplicated.
Yes.
Because shida ni duplication of services. Ukienda hapa huyu anafanya hivi, ukienda huyu anafanya hivi. Sasa nikitaka kuanzisha biashara naambiwa lazima uone huyu, uone huyu. Ni kazi mingi sana kwa kufanya biashara. So ukiziunganisha pamoja, nitakuwa naenda kwa mtu mmoja, sio kwa watu 5. Na nitakuwa nalipa fees kwa mtu mmoja, sio fees kwa watu 5. So inapunguza gharama pia kwa wale wafanya biashara. So mimi naunga mkono ili watu tu wasipoteze kazi.
Alright, wacha tupate kauli yake Daktari Saisi.
Mimi kwanza kabisa haya mashirika ya serikali yana historia kwa nini yaliundwa. Ni kwa sababu kwa mfano kuna areas ambazo kulikuwa bado development iko chini. Na ukitaka kampuni fulani iende huko inakuta hakuna maji, hakuna electricity, hakuna njia ya kwenda kule. Unaona? So serikali ikaona kufungua hiyo areas, those areas, walete haya mashirika ya serikali, kwa sababu serikali ni serikali. Ikipata losses ama nini sio shida, lakini private guy when he wants to invest there lazima afikirie. Unaona? Do we have water? Do we have electricity? Do we have power? And so on. So walitumia haya mashirika kufungua those areas that were very remote. And then kama unakuta sasa baada ya kuweka hivyo vitu tunaona makampuni mengine yanafuata sasa. Alafu baadaye unaona hospitali yanakuja, mashule yanakuja. Sasa wakati huo mimi naona mambo yameisha. Privatization ya haya mashirika it's now not even kuwa merged according to me. Privatization does not mean you are closing it. Privatization unasema you are shifting ile responsibility ya Quran to a private sector or a person who will now take care of it. Unaona? But there are those parastatals ambazo ni kwa sababu ya security you cannot privatize them. For example, mimi sipendi KPA iwe privatized kwa sababu ni mahali ambapo tunaletea mizigo yetu ba. Ukipatia mtu alafu akwambia usilete mzigo na wewe ni Mkenya, utasema nini? KAA. Unaona, hilo pia ni very important parastatal, lakini ni mambo ya security tunasema. Lakini mengine kama tuseme mambo ya sukari, mambo ya those industries should be privatized. Na wananchi waambiwe there must be good public participation. Kwa nini wana privatize haya mashirika? Ni kwa sababu mengi yao yana make losses. Na ku make losses ni kwa sababu mtu anasema after all ni kampuni ya serikali. Lakini tukiweka private people watataka ku make profit. Na making profit was to streamline those factories. Kwa hivyo kwangu mimi privatization ukiangalia utakuta ili debt ambalo liko nalo Kenya. A lot of those debts come from this kind of parastatals ambazo haziendeshwi kulingana na vile inatakikana. Watu wana spend left right, alafu hizo debts zinaletwa kwa national government. Why can't we take this, privatize them? People will not lose jobs. When you privatize, yule ambaye anakuja kuchukua ataandika ya kwamba he will take those people ambao wako pale tayari. Unaona? So kwa mfano Nzoia, watu walipiga makelele ya kwa nini Nzoia inatakiwa kuwa privatized. I come from Western. Now unataka Nzoia iendelee ifunge kwa sababu serikali haina pesa ya kuwa bail out every time, ama ulete mfadhili ambaye ako na pesa atafanya ile that factory iendelee lakini kwa mikono ya private.
Daktari Saisi, hiyo ni mada tamu sana, tutakuja ijadili siku nyingine. Shikilia hapo, ni mada tamu sana. Lakini nirudi kwako tu kidogo ndugu Tobias Alando. Daktari Saisi amezungumzia kuhusiana na swala hili la mashirika kuweza kuwa merged na mengine kuondolewa, na amezungumzia nukta ya haya mashirika, akaona on a positive note jinsi gani yanaweza kuwa privatized. Sijui kivyako nasema.
Kwangu nasema kuna reason why serikali imeangalia ikasema kuna parastatals lazima dissolve, kuna zingine zinakuwa dissolved, kuna zingine zinakuwa merged. Zile ambazo zinakuwa dissolved na natumaini ziko 16. Reason why zinakuwa dissolved ni kwa sababu hazileti fedha lolote kwa serikali.
Yes.
Hao ni kila saa ni kuitisha, kila bajeti wanatengewa pesa na kuna kitu muhimu wanaletea serikali. Hiyo ni ukweli. So mimi hata kama ingekuwa nyumba yangu ama biashara zangu naangalia biashara zile ambazo haziniletei faida nizifunge, niendeleshe na zile biashara ambazo zinaniletea kampuni ambazo zinaniletea faida. Na hiyo tunaunga kama private sector, tunaunga hiyo nia serikali kudissolve zile ambazo hazileti faida kwa wananchi, hazileti faida kwa serikali. Lakini zile ambazo ni muhimu zinaleta faida kwa wananchi na serikali, tunaunga mkono zitengewe pesa na zifanyiwe ile inaitwa reforms ili ziweze kuwa mzuri na kukuzwa ili wananchi wa benefit na serikali pia benefit.
Watasoba conversation mtazamaji ndani ya Zinga asubuhi ya leo. Dakika 14 zimesalia. Asante sana ndugu Tobias Salando na ndugu yangu Daktari Patrick Saisi. Kwa hiyo mnavyotupatia vitu ambavyo vinaingia kwenye masikio yote. Lakini kwa sasa mtazamaji na msikilizaji, wacha hizi dakika ambazo zimebakia chache tumpatie na yeye huyu Wanjiku, huyu msikilizaji, huyu mwananchi, na maoni yake ni yapi. Naomba tuvae hizi headphones ili tuweze kuwasikia wanasemaje. Dora, upande wa pili kama unanipata, wananchi wanasemaje kuhusiana na mazungumzo haya ya baada ya bajeti?
Naam, shukran Rashid na wageni upande wa pili wa studio. Msikilizaji, nafasi ni yako kuleta kauli zako. Nambari zetu za simu ziko wazi. Unalo swali ambalo ungependa kuweza kujibiwa, piga simu kupitia nambari 0700176699 au 0732745111. Radio Taifa. Salama zaidi.
Huyu ni Samson Madudu, ni kwenda kazi.
Karibu.
Mimi hata kama naongea upande wa msaada wa fedha, nitauliza swali tu kuhusu security. Nimesikia mtu kama akisema wameweka hiyo nini, hata wakiweka kitu nao watu ndio wanatoa. Hapa tuna usaidizi wa watu. Ile kitu mimi nataka wale watu walianza kushika huyo jamaa wako wapi? Waache kutuletea sura zingine hapa. Huyu jamaa ameitwa kufanya kazi pale, akakuja akafanya kazi. Huyu anafanya mtu awachilie, huyu mtu alikuwa kibarua, afanye weko ndani, anaweko ndani kwa nini? Yeye hakuwa anajua mipango ya serikali.
Asante. Mwana Zinga 0732745111 0700176699 Radio Taifa. Naam.
Dominic Mugama, niko Machakos.
Swali lako?
Swali langu ni baba alikuwa mtetezi wa wananchi. Na tulikuwa tunamwamini. Sasa mkuu mmoja kwa serikali, mkuu mmoja kwa vizani. Hako asisiazi na mwalimu wako tujua kwa wapi.
Asante Dominic Mudhama. Aya, Zinga gumzo pevu.
Ndio huyo mchungaji Pastor Jackson na Hamasi sisikelo nalo nikiwa Nakuru. Ningependa tu kuuliza swali la usalama hapa Nakuru. Hakika hapa Nakuru kumekuwa hivi karibuni miili wamepata miili hapa hii msitu ya Harvest, miili zaidi ya 5. Security iko namna gani?
Okay, na ukipiga simu punguza sauti ya televisheni ama redio yako itakuwa vizuri. Zinga. Naam.
Alike Dora mwana.
Salama.
Huyo naongea kutoka Vihiga County.
Swali.
Kwanza salamia aliyekuwa gavana yangu, deputy gavana wangu Mr. Honorable Saisi.
Amekusikia.
Asante. Sasa ningependa kumuuliza swali hili. Ikiwa hii budget ambayo ilisomwa itakuwa na manufaa gani kwa mwananchi wa Vihiga? Kwa sababu ukiangalia Vihiga sawa ni kaunti ambayo iko chini kabisa, haijaendelea kabisa.
Anauliza manufaa kwa kaunti ya Vihiga. Simu mbili tuweze kurejesha mjadala upande wa pili wa studio kupitia 0700176699. Lakini kumbuka pia katika mitandao yetu ya Facebook na X unaweza pia kututaga Radio Taifa @KBC Channel 1 Radio Taifa.
Dora Manya.
Naam.
Habari ya studio.
Salama zaidi, swali lako.
Naongea na mwalimu Mustafa Kongo Tindi.
Majaliwa nikiwa Rabai. Sasa na swali moja, katika budget kuna miradi hutengewa pesa fulani na hiyo miradi huwa haimaliziki. Huwa kuna shida gani na hii pesa huwa imeenda wapi?
Asante sana. Miradi ambayo haikamiliki. Haya, moja ya mwisho, alafu Rashida anawe makali na wageni wangu studioni wakaweze kujibu maswali haya yote. Radio Taifa. Hello Zinga.
Hello.
Naam.
Huyu anaitwa Daniel.
Yes, uko wapi Daniel?
Ndio Kakamega.
Karibu sana kutoka Kakamega, swali lako.
Sasa ikiwa wanasema wanataka kuweka CCTV kwa vituo vya polisi, hii kitendo ambayo ilifanyika kulikuwa na CCTV? Inamaanisha kitu kiendelea tu bado.
Okay. Haya, swala la kuwekwa kwa CCTV kama alivyosema Waziri wa Usalama wa Taifa Mheshimiwa Kipchumba Murkomen. Rashid, turudi kwako kwanza.
Na asante sana Dora, na vile vile pia asanteni sana wananchi ama wasikilizaji kwa kauli zenu hizo. Niliweke wazi tu mtazamaji maswali ambayo yameulizwa na wasikilizaji, na vile vile pia maoni na michango ambayo inatolewa na wageni hapa ndani ya studio ni maoni yao binafsi, wala hayalengi ama sio msimamo kamili wa shirika la utangazaji nchini KBC, wala sio msimamo wa KBC Channel 1 na Radio Taifa. Ni maoni yao kama Wakenya kulingana na katiba. Na wageni wangu, kuna maswali hapa yameulizwa mengi, mko huru kuyajibu, lakini tuna dakika 6 za kujibu maswali haya. Nani ataanza? Mko huru kujibu.
Sawa. Nitaanza. Kwa mambo ya CCTV vile nimesema, hata wakiweka lakini hatuko we don't have.
Sasa hizi tumemaliza nazo kazi. Yes, asante daktari.
Yeah, pole.
No problem.
Na hatuna responsible police people ni kazi bure. Kwa hivyo tuweke CCTV iwe na backup na vile vile mtu ajue ya kwamba akitemba na hiyo kitu atapata shida sana. Hilo ndio naweza sema. Kwa hiyo jamaa wa Machakos amesema baba mara ako ndani mara ako nje. Vile baba alisema ni kwamba alikuja tu to stabilize the government na kupeana experts. Kwa hivyo kama kuna mambo mengi pale watamtafuta wamuulize. Security uko Nakuru nimeambiwa, na pengine ukiangalia watu wa Nakuru wakilia, pengine Land Rover zao hazina mafuta wakati mambo kama haya yanafanyika, alafu watu wanauawa tu kwa sababu ile emergency call haitishwa haraka. Kwa hivyo waeneze hiyo, na pia watu wa National Intelligence Service I think they need to do more work ili to nab these people ambao wanaua watu kiholela. Alafu jamaa wangu wa Vihiga anasema sisi wa Vihiga tutanufaika aje? Pengine wewe kwa sababu natoka Vihiga, ukiangalia barabara ambazo zimetangazwa kama ile barabara kutoka Mago kwenda kwa Mudavadi utokezee kule Wangulu, wamesema wanaenda kuiweka. Ukiona kuna kutoka Hamisi ukija Shamahoho kuna bridge ambayo iko pale London wanatengeneza pia iko pale. Kuna njia kutoka Shamahoho uende upitie Muhudu utokezee upande wa Kakamega, hiyo njia pia itanufaika na hiyo. Ningesema mengi lakini ni kidogo tu nikwambie kwa sababu hatuongei Vihiga peke yake hapa. Lakini those are a few things, roads ambazo naweza sema Vihiga inaenda kupata. Stalled projects. Kwenye shida yani projects ambazo zinaanza alafu zinakosa kumalizika, pengine kuna shida mbili. Moja, wale ambao wanaenda kufanya feasibility study ama projections ya ni pesa ngapi ambazo zinahitajika ili hiyo project ishe, pengine wana quote low alafu haimalizike, ama corruption, pesa unapeana lakini hazifanyi kazi ambayo inahitajika alafu zinakuwa stalled. Kwa hivyo kama Badi amesema ya kwamba amezibaziba, I hope hiyo itasaidia.
Asante, labda tumpishe na yeye Tobias aweze kutackle some of the questions.
Nitajibu swali kama 3 hivi. Moja ni security, na ni kweli ukiangalia simu ambazo zimepigwa watu wengi wanalalamika juu ya security. Lazima security sector iimarike, ione vile ita build trust na wananchi. Kitambo tulikuwa tunafanya kitu inaitwa community policing, where wananchi na polisi wanaungana pamoja, kukiwa na tatizo wanaongea pamoja, na natumai tunaweza fanya hivyo tukiendelea mbele. Na ukiangalia ile opportunity county kama Vihiga, serikali imetenga pesa ya county aggregated industrial parks in different counties. But apart from that, hata wenye private sectors wanaweza kuinvest in various counties, ni wananchi waambie county zao, ili serikali ya county zao watengeneze ama weke mikakati ya kuattract investors. La mwisho ni mambo ya projects ambazo zimetengewa pesa na zikamiliki. Kama wananchi lazima to push for what I call accountability. Accountability kwanza kwa Public Procurement and Oversight Authority, ile inaangalia projects zilialloketiwa pesa na zimetimizwa ama hazijatimizwa. Accountability ya pili ni Parliament. Parliament lazima ifanye kazi yake ya kuensure that all projects zimekamilishwa na wananchi wamebenefit. Lakini wananchi wakuwe na macho ya kuangalia hizi allocations zimetengwa na projects zimekamilika. Asante.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for the nice discussion asubuhi ya leo. Kivyangu naweza sema it's very wonderful discussion. Asanteni sana. Nina matumaini kwamba msikilizaji amefaidika. Mimi mwenyewe kama mtangazaji hapa ndani ya studio nimefaidika. Lakini kwa hizi dakika chache ambazo zimesalia, labda Daktari Saisi, kamera yake ni gani? Ile pale, naomba uangalie kamera, utoe maoni yako ya mwisho kwa Wakenya. Una neno gani kwa Wakenya unawaambia asubuhi ya leo ndani ya Zinga?
Nasema ya kwamba Kenya, hii bajeti imekuwa ni bajeti nzuri, ina mwananchi wa kawaida atanufaika. Kitu ambacho tu ningependa kuambia ni kwamba tukija kwa mambo ya privatization ya hizi parastatals, kama serikali ikiangalia ione parastatal fulani inafanya every time iko kwa debt, ikitaka privatize ama kumerge, it is for the betterment of the country, kwa sababu wewe tax zako ndio kila wakati zina bail out hayo pesa nyingine ati kubail hii. Kwa hivyo ningependa kusema ya kwamba hii ni nchi yetu. Mambo ya security, I'm hoping Murkomen atakaza kamba ili sisi tukitembea Kenya yetu tujue ni nchi yetu, tunaipenda. There is nothing better than your country called Kenya.
Asante. Tobias, kamera yako ni hapa. Una neno gani la mwisho?
Ningependa kuambia wananchi ya kwamba Kenya ni yetu sisi sote. Na lazima tuwajibike kuimarisha Kenya yetu. Pesa na ushuru ambazo tunatoa, lazima we hold the government accountable. Vile hizo ushuru na zile pesa zitatumiwa. Kukiwa na tatizo yoyote kuhusiana na bajeti, kuhusiana na fedha, lazima tukae chini na tuongee kwa amani. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana. Najaribu kuangalia kamera ya Dora Manya lakini sioni hapa. Na mtazamaji asante sana, na msikilizaji asante sana. Kumbuka kwanza nitoe shukrani sana kwa Mwenyezi Mungu kwa sababu tumemaliza sehemu hii, na niseme shukrani sana kwa wageni wangu. Najua wana shughuli nyingi lakini leo hii wakatumia muda wao kuja hapa ndani ya studio. Asanteni sana wageni kwa muda wenu. Na msikilizaji, mtazamaji, mimi kazi yangu huwa tu ni kuongoza kipindi, lakini kuna watu ambao wanafanya kazi kubwa sana kuliko sisi. Asante sana mpige picha wangu anayeniangalia hapa, ndugu Coleman, asante. Naambia huyu anaitwa Derek, asante, amechukua nafasi ya Pauline. Huyu anaitwa Emilio, asante Emilio, na yule pale ni Mwanagenzi. Asante sana fundi wa mitambo upande wa Radio B Rose. mwenzangu upande wa runinga, rafiki yangu Owen na timu yako nzima, thank you very big. Na vile vile pia asanteni sana watayarishi wa kipindi hiki, ndugu Dennis Chisaka kila siku mtazamaji anavaa suti tu yeye na kama kingasia. Na vile vile pia asante sana ndugu yangu Nancy Kemunto kwa kuhakikisha kwamba kipindi hiki kimekuwa bomba bin bomba. Asanteni sana. Bila kupoteza nukta, sekunde wala dakika, naregesha kwake mwenzangu Dora Manya. Ni saa 3 juu ya alama, tupate taarifa ya habari. Zinga inaendelea. Jina langu naitwa Rashid Mumkondo. Hadi Jumanne ijayo. Siku zote mtazamaji, kinachokupa furaha ndio utajiri wako.
Nimeua mtu kweli?
Haujaua.
Alafu basi nipeleke pole pole. Ngoja niongee na huyu. Lakini unapatanga advertisement, si ndio?
Sasa advertisement ikitokea kama haoni atajuaje?
Please, I'm not asking you. I'm asking you. Why do you vacuum people in the stomach? Which the English now is coming out. 50,000 pocket money.
Hiyo ni kama sini change kidogo, pesa kidogo ambayo naweza.
Umesikia, market that way.
Where were you? You expect to walk in here from anywhere and find food lying around?
Oh, so you expect me to starve, right?
Please leave me alone. I need peace.
Can we please talk outside? I feel like sometimes these walls are fears.
Ni nani sijona kwa hii nyumba leo sasa?
Good morning to you too, Jen. Okay, what are you saying?
Freedom of choice, ma'am. We do have that right.
And if I'm so useless, why do you still keep me around?
What else? You're Malika's dad.
Ruth sleeps for that company, eats that company, does everything for that company.
Yeah, right.
Oh, really?
Is it that I'm too young for you, or she's more beautiful than me?
No, I didn't say that.
Na si ni kweli? Kwani ni mamako? Kwani unapenda kudanganyana?
Ni kweli.
I really like you. And I know I have a baby with Isha, but that's in the past.
I think it's okay what Ruth is doing, questioning Jill, because we barely know her. She's new. And I think we do have to take precautions.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first.
You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima
tunaangazia kilimo mjini cha mboga za asili.
Wakati unafanya ukulima wako, ni vizuri uelewe unapanda mboga uuzie kina nani. Hawa watu wangependa mboga aina gani?
Na kisha tutamfuga nyenje.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 kwa uhondo kamili wa kilimo.
Hapa KBC Channel 1.
Nafahamu uasisi ama uanzilishaji wa sunna hii ya kuchinja katika tarehe 10 ya Dhulhijja.
Walipokuwa tayari kumchinja mwanaye, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aliteremsha kondoo kutoka mbinguni na kumwamuru Nabii Ibrahim kumchinja kondoo yule.
Kuwa na tabia nzuri aliyokuwa nayo Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallama, ili uwe mwenye kupendwa na Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallama na uwe karibu yake siku ya Kiyama.
Laka wal mulk la sharika lak.
Kila mwaka mamilioni ya Waislamu kutoka kila kona ya dunia hukusanyika katika ardhi tukufu ya Maka.
Okay, let's talk matters mental wellness, and specifically men's mental health wellness, as we get to commemorate this specific topic on this month of June. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And how about to get into it? Today we will be talking about breaking the silence on the stigma on men's mental health awareness. So let's get into it. I have three gentlemen with me in studio right now, and I will begin with, we have Robert Omondi. Robert Omondi is from the Youth for Mental Health Consortium, and then we also have, all right, next to him on his right, we have Benjamin Mutoko, and Benjamin is a mental health programs officer, LVCT Health. And then right next to me over here, we have Baraza Churchill. Baraza Churchill is a nurse, psychiatrist, and lecturer. But before we get into the conversation, how about we start it differently today? Robert, take it away.
Wanasema mwanaume ni pillar ya society. Mwanaume ni backbone ya familia. Wanasema mwanaume ni daily breadwinner. Lakini hapa pillar ya society imecrack. Mwanaume weka plaster. When him strong, backbone ya familia imevunjika. Mwanaume weka bandage. When him strong, daily breadwinner leo ana lose. Mwanaume usijaribu kulose. When him strong, machozi ziko balancing, ziko almost kutiririka. Mwanaume usijaribu kulia. When him strong, so ana mama kimoyo moyo, juu akiongea watasema ni umama. Kuna stigma kwenda counseling, so anaita mabeshte yake wapange another plot. Pesa imemuishia mwezi na budget haja fully sort. Ongezea failed marriages na broken relationships, bonus tie another knot. Lakini ni ngozi za strength alivikwa akiwa mdogo. Baba usijaribu kulia. When him strong, ni taji ya strength alivikwa akiwa mdogo. Good boy, ujalia. When him strong, ni size za strength alifunzwa akiwa mdogo. Good boy. When him strong, ni weight ya strength alipimwa akigrow. Wanaume mko wapi? Nyinyi wa strong.
Amazing. This is how we do it, gentlemen. Yeah, that is how you clap for a piece, you know, spoken word piece. A very deep one, actually. That's a really deep piece, talking about the struggles that men get to endure and how society expects them to just become strong. I mean, when I'm strong, usilie, you know, and this is the reality of how things are on the ground. And I want to ask you this question, gentlemen. Why do many men, according to statistics, struggle to seek help on matters mental wellness? I'll begin with you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Barasa. Now, I think men are struggling so much because of the stigma in the society today. I believe and I feel that men feel that society has brought us up. Society has brought us up in a matter or in a picture that views as a man should never speak up. A man should always handle things by himself. I think it's something that is really weighing men down of not speaking out, because if you speak out, people see you as an inferior person. People look down upon you. So I feel men are going through a lot and they can't speak out because of how the society has brought us up.
All right. Robert, what's your take on the same? Why is it that you do not speak out as men?
Yeah, just to add to what you said, it also starts when you're growing. Let's say, as I've said, when you're a small boy, when how boys are raised, a boy ameanguka, and they're like, when kijana. So by the time like you're all grown, there's this like words thrown at you, or like just the language and communication that is told to you. It's expected for you to like just bundle things up and to be less expressive. Especially in things that may show weakness. So you are like just positioned to show like there's no weakness in you. And if there is, like unapambana kimwanaume, yeah, as they say.
Yeah, that's actually the term that you usually use. Pambana kimwanaume.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, and I would start by the fact that we are a cumulative total of everything that has happened to us. So the way we were brought up, the culture that you grew up in, and so that means that when I was born, and I was born with sisters, was there a different way that I was treated? Were there expectations that were set on me, not by my family, but purely by the culture? Was there a different way that I was supposed to behave because I am a man? And so all that, all the way to school, you know? There are chores that were supposed to be for men. There are chores that are supposed to be for ladies in primary school all the way. And now you go all the way to high school, and then you go all the way to, university. And there's all these things that have cumulatively made you the person that you have become. And I would say there has been just that kind of conspiracy against the man. And I don't think that the intention has been actually to get man not, to go through mental challenges, The intention was what we know and what we have been, conditioned to believe true. And so at this level, you're looking at the culture, you're looking at the religion, you're looking at what I call primary scenario, what people have gone through, their background, experiences, what they know. It has gotten to that place, and all of it conspires to say men cannot be emotional.
So it's all in the upbringing.
There is a lot around it.
Yeah.
And so the person that I have become believes that if I show emotion, if I try to show people, as anyone, that I can cry, or I can actually get to that place of, being emotional, whether I have lost someone close to me, or I've lost a relationship, or I'm facing situations in my own family, it gets me to that place where people, feel like you're supposed to be the man, and so keep your emotions in. And so we keep our emotions in, and you can see what is happening.
It's doing more damage than good. Now, we say that right now we have a woke generation, we're living in different times. So as we speak right now, has it gotten better or worse for men to be able to speak up on matters mental health? Is it getting any better, according to you?
Yeah, according to me, I'd say that it's getting somewhere. People are coming out. Young generation are coming out. People are talking. People are expressing their feelings. I would say that men to men always talk in places of entertainment. Even they express themselves to their partners, their wives, and even at work. I'd say that we're making progress, and men are coming out of their cocoon, and society is changing. You can't compare the society that we are right now and that of our fathers. Yeah, I think it is progressively, it's gradual, baby steps, but we're heading somewhere.
Yeah.
I do concur.
Yeah.
Even if you check in social medias today, men are some of the people who are coming out and expressing their feelings, spearheading some of their agendas and you know, things to do with our mental health. We have initiatives, we have mental health activists for men, for young adults. So I'd say that we're progressing. Yeah.
As a mental health officer, Mutoko, would you say we're having more men now open to even seeking professional help? You know, matters going to see a therapist and so on and so forth. Are we experiencing that?
I would say yes, but then I would also say that we still have a long way to go. Yes, depending on the model they're using. Like I have been around men, and I have also seen and heard men say that they'd rather talk to someone that they can't see. So the fact that you're also, you know, presenting different models where they're able to express themselves and express their emotions. You know, somewhere I was, and you know, there was that talk around, would you rather go see a therapist, or would you rather, you know, talk to someone online? And a lot of them, actually probably 95%, say they would rather talk to someone they can't see, who they will never meet again. And you know, so I would say that yes, there is gradual change, but then again, looking at, you know, the way and the toll mental health is taking on men, we still have a long way to go, and you know, it calls for urgency. So yes, we are seeing more men accepting. You know, some of them accept because it may be an issue at work, you know, and so they have to, you know, go see a therapist and bring back a letter so that they're able to show that something happened. Others will want to do it because, you know, their spouses want them to, and you know, so they are just doing it because they are being compelled to do it. But you know, getting these men volunteering to move towards seeking help, and this is actually around most health issues. Men have really bad behaviors when it comes to seeking help around health, and so when it comes to mental health, I mean, it just gets a bit more deeper. And the truth is, a lot of us don't even know that we have that struggle around that stigma. Yes.
Yeah. Robert, as someone who works with and around young people or younger people, what would you say the situation is, you know, matters stigma specifically on men's mental health awareness? When just speaking amongst yourself, is this something that is loud? You know, is the stigma really there?
As you said, now for the younger people, they are more aware, they are more woke. So I feel like younger people as friends, or where they, in their social spaces, let's say they are like for young boys when they are meeting or to go out to socialize, they are now like talking about it more. And now the younger generation for mental health is not that like far off concept compared to now our older peers. Therefore, it's easier to have those conversations. It's easier for a guy friend to tell them like, hey bro, napitia hivi na hivi ama. But also sometimes pia, I think the pressure of social media sometimes makes it a bit worse, because now as we are more on social media, and now everybody wants to show how they are okay, how they are having a successful life, how they are thriving, which at times, and maybe you see your peers are making steps ahead, and you are not, so you feel like, do I really want to tell them what I'm going through, or do I really want to show? So you also just join the bandwagon and just exist like happily, or just unajinyamazia. But for the few who are not in that wave, they have like maybe identify a person in their friends group where I think they share, even if not deeply, but in one or another.
Actually, just speaking about that, there's a question I asked several guy friends that I have, and I was asking them, would you be open to speak about something you're going through? Would you be open to share, maybe the challenges that are, messing with your mind in one way or the other? And every one of them, their first answer was, with whom?
Yes.
With whom? So is it so hard for guys to find someone they can speak to, aside from what you were talking about? Now there's AI, you can actually just chat with it and tell AI whatever is going through your life. But is it so hard for guys to just find someone to talk to? Because as a woman, I speak to my friends all the time. We will cry and then that's it. So is it so hard for men to do the same, or to just identify someone they can talk to?
I'd say, at times it is. And let's say if sometimes one of your peers opens up, and there's that reaction like, hey, are you okay? Like, hey, una open up. It actually scares you. And it brings also another thing. We're also not we do not know how to respond. Let's say when Benjamin starts telling me he's going we don't know how to respond, because hatujazoea like hiyo open up or mtu kukwambia, so inakushtua kwanza, inakuconcern zaidi, uko like bro uko sawa, unaona unasema vitu zingine because again it was not in us. So even outside seeking for help, even just the other way of when a friend is also reaching out, it's also a new concept. You look at it and if you find yourself in an awkward space and you don't know what to say, you call, like sometimes it's strong.
Could that be the reason why actually you're not open to speak about some situations, because of how it's going to be received? You've told your fellow guy who's a friend to you, and how they take it, you feel like, okay, it's an awkward situation over here, because now it's like I've put him in a space where he does not know what to tell me, so you'd rather just keep quiet about it. Could that be the reason?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because sometimes you open up to a friend, and later on, your friend uses your words against you. You understand? So men fear that. Men fear to be despised, to be looked down upon. Men would want to be the center of attention, to be the, a person who everyone is looking up to. I want to be like Mr. Robert. I want to be like Mr. Omondi. So no one will want to jeopardize that. So they fear talking out. Now, I'm telling my friend about maybe an issue. I'm having a problem with my girlfriend, for example. And then when you're out there, he makes a joke about it.
Okay.
You're drinking this much and you're having troubles in paradise. And you're like, I shouldn't have said that. So next time you're having a problem, Mr. Robert, you won't go to him. Even if he's the only friend that you're having, you won't go to him to talk to him about your situation. You'd rather die with them. Now, men tend to share things when it's too late.
True.
Let's say, for example, burials. You'll come to notice you're a friend to a person, but you'll come to know that he has lost a peer later on, a day to burial. You see? You'll know that a person is having problems at home when he has already chased the wife. You're sitting somewhere and your friend is telling you,
or probably you see it on TV.
Yes. I'm no longer with so and so. Hey, when did it happen? A few months ago. It's nothing. So men tend to report things when it's too late. And when you're as a medic, in disease progress, it's easier to treat a disease on its earlier stages than on its late stages. Let's say, for example, cancer. Cancer stage 4, it's an an end, how will I say it?
Stage.
An end stage.
Yeah.
It's difficult to treat it unless it's a surgery.
Yeah.
But during its first stage, chemotherapy will treat it. Let's now talk about mental health. Now, when a person shares a problem in earlier stages, counseling will help, therapy will help. But in later stages, even you yourself, you'll be out of words. And as a man, you'll just say, yeah, it's okay, bro, just be strong.
Yeah.
You're not the first person.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's go out. Let's drink it out, and tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yeah.
So I feel that men tend to fear the outcome of sharing things out. Men tend to put things for themselves, and it's eating us up.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah, and the problem is that we think that it is those major things that we are supposed to share. You just said that for you, you'll just get your girlfriend, and it's going
or cry.
Or cry about, and tomorrow you meet and you forgot.
Yeah.
For a man, you go through something and you feel it's small. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so everyone else around you is supposed, is going to give you the statements of, hii ni kitu ndogo, And so you will not even want to share it because you feel like it's small. And then tomorrow you go through another one. And then tomorrow you go through another one. So at the end of the day, you realize that you've taken in so much pressure and you've never gotten an opportunity to take it out. So those many accumulated pains eventually start portraying as something different. And that's what my brother is talking about. You get to that place where you're realizing that this thing has actually affected, very many facets of my life. My, fatherhood, my being a husband, being, a brother, being, a son to someone. All those aspects, and even, wherever I work, all that has been affected. And I cannot say it's particularly this one big thing. So yeah, the big things are important for us to deal with. But it's also important for us to realize that we are accumulating a lot through our everyday pains. So we are accumulating and it's just like when you keep taking a lot of pressure into a balloon. At the end of the day, it will get to a place and it is only going to handle so much. And now you will see some of the things that you guys are showing us on the news. Something happened. The truth is, that person was not themselves when that thing was happening, when they were, pushing into that havoc and all that. Yeah, you have been taking in so much and control until you actually realize that you don't have it in control. And so it gets to that level where we are not supposed to demean any of those small things that we go through. The truth is we need to face it. That's why he's talking about coping mechanisms. Some of the coping mechanisms are, you want just to drink it out, and you think you're going to forget about it, but yeah, it's momentary. But then you wake up tomorrow and it wakes up with you.
Still there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, just as, he's mentioned, like, these things eat you up literally. If we look at the suicide statistics, more men are committing suicide. The numbers are actually crazy, right? So how would you want society to show up for a man? How is society supposed to show up for you in a way that is healthy, in a way that makes you feel, okay, as a man, I'd be open to actually speak about this or that, instead of just bottling it up to a point where now I'm snapping or I just decide to end my life? Either of you can take that.
So first, I believe it begins with me as an individual. Like Robert said, when someone comes to me and they want to have a chat and it's a man, I do not want to behave differently. I would be willing to listen. A lot of times we meet, and I'm sure even as you came to studio, you met a lot of people along the road. And hi, how are you, and all that. If someone stopped you and said, you asked, how are you, and they said, I'm not good, what would you do? It feels weird.
Because you're used to the usual.
You're used to the usual poor. So you are going to be stranded. Okay, so what do I tell you? We will get to that level where we will ask people how are they, and we will be willing to stay and listen, and listen to give them support. And a lot of times it is actually, we need a listening state. We need a listening country. We want to get to a place where we know we can be listened to, we can be heard, and at the end of the day, we will actually be realizing that, the change begins with us as individuals. Yeah. It goes all the way to workplaces. The other day, I think last year, but one, there was launched a workplace mental health policy guidelines by the Ministry of Health. And I would say there is a lot that is happening right now from the Ministry of Health, Division of Mental Health. There is a lot of work that is happening because, there is that push that let every workplace have champions for mental wellness, so that at least this conversation keeps going. You see, a lot of times when you keep talking about something, it becomes a normative. And so, it becomes easier for a man to call the boss and say, I'm not okay today. I keep asking people, what would your boss say? If you called in today and say that, boss, I feel like I'm stressed, what would your boss say? So if you're able to answer that question, probably one of them told me, the boss is going to ask, nani ana stress?
Which is actually true. Not even the boss. I feel like that would be the answer from many people. Like, kila mtu ako na stress.
Exactly.
Just...
Yeah. So let's have that kind of, liberty to talk about it in the workplace, because we spend much of our times around there. Let's have it in our curriculums as we are growing young people. Let's have it in religious circles where, I know some churches have programs like Man Enough, where people actually realize for you to be a man does not mean that you keep stuff to yourself. It does not mean that you don't need to be emotional and all that. Let these conversations go all the way to the villages and let, the discussions go on, to that level where people realize that even some of these things like suicide and all the ideation around it is actually a sickness. It is not a decision, it's a sickness. Someone gets to that level, not because they desire. You don't wake up and say, next week on Tuesday, I want to die by suicide. It doesn't happen. You just get yourself to that level where you are realizing things are bad and I need support. So we need to normalize the talk about mental wellness as a sickness just like every other sickness. I mean, I don't blame you for being, being sick. Like you have malaria and I'm asking you, I mean, hiyo ni kitu ya kuambia watu. No one gets stigma for that. So ideally, I would say let's have that discussion. And for people who are at policy level, let those policies be part of our work.
And just to back that, I think it's also good to put it out there that even when someone, suicide happens, you don't say they committed suicide, because it's not really a crime. You don't know what was happening to them. You say they died by suicide, not commit, just to put it out there. Now,
just to add on, I'm sorry. Just to add on what Mr. Robert has said. Where I'm working at JFC College Munene, we embrace a policy. It is called open door policy. Like all the offices are open to suggestions. Now you can go to any office, the office that you think your problems will be solved. You don't have to follow the hierarchy. If you see that you're having a problem with maybe the school bus, you go to any office and you'll be helped. I think men should also embrace that policy. Like it is called, sometimes it's called snowballing in research, whereby you throw a question for someone to talk to you. So I'll throw a question to those who are viewing and us here. How many times have you called a person just to check on that person? Hey, Mr. Robert, how are you doing? Are you okay? Most of the time when I make my calls, I always ask you, how is your mental health? And people will break down for you, even the men.
True.
But when you've not thrown a question to someone, that person will not open up to you. Not unless someone asked you something. That's why a man will talk. So I think we should also embrace that thing. Call your friends, call your partners. Hata kama mmekuwa na asubuhi, call them and ask them, how is work? How are you doing? How is your mental health? And you'll hear big stories. And I think problem once solved, problems shared is
not so much.
Yeah.
All right, I love that. And you know, still to you, Churchill, you know, as a nurse and psychiatrist, is there any science that backs that men are not beings who just open up, or this is all society thing, this is all upbringing? Because sometimes they just say, this is just how we are, you know, sisi si watu wa kuongea. But is there any science behind that?
I don't think if there is any science behind that.
Yeah.
I think it's just personalities and you know, things that people pick up. You came to Western and you found people eating ugali. And now you have to start doing that. I think it is something that just people pick up, which is not a good behavior, to say that. And you know, we were born and we found out that men don't speak up, men don't share a lot. Now you're a man now. Why should you share? So I think it's a fallacy that people should get it out of their mind. It's not science.
There's no science.
There's nothing behind it. It's just a personality. And we say that something learned can also be unlearned. So it's high time that I challenge young men there to come out and speak and talk to each other and try to advise each other. Yeah, let's not just keep things to ourselves.
Yeah, there's a social experiment I saw someone do on the internet whereby there's this lady who was at a busy street and they look distressed. And just as she's there, I mean, we'll just have random people coming to find out what's happening. Why are you? What's happening with you? And then they did the same with a man. A man was there looking all distressed. Trust me, no one stopped to ask, what's up with you? So who really looks after men, honestly? Because even fellow men didn't try and ask what's happening.
Exactly.
Who looks after the man?
God.
I think it's just God.
No, okay, honestly, that was really... It was something, because no single person stood to ask. That man was just there. No one asked anything.
True.
Would you say that men are also failing men? I'm sorry to say this, but I just have to ask that.
I wanted to say that, and even when you look at schools, maybe when you compare girls' schools and boys' schools, like a lot of, maybe in girls' schools, they do have sessions where the teachers would talk to them, where the teachers, for myself, I think the most talking was academic, but you'd rarely find, like, you know, the intentionality of just people coming either in primary or high school. Because all this also, as you said, happens because of how we've grown. There's not that, like, a lot of peer or mentorship. And even when men finish their school, not many of them go back, or many of them, like, notice the smaller version of themselves. Like, we also just live in isolation, like on the different generations that we are in. So, like, in terms of passing on mentorship or just looking at looking after each other, it's a gap, and we really need to do a lot of that. And also that just calling your friends and just checking up on them, it's maybe among the lists of things you might call your friends, maybe to go, I don't know, watch football, or go, if it's for older men, to, like, eat meat somewhere. And I think in those spaces, which also, just to add something small, yes, maybe crying may not work for men, like saying, oh, you cry, but the idea is to just find spaces that men are comfortable sharing. Is it kwa kinyozi, where it's just a space for, is it maybe, again, menda watch ball or nakula nyama mahali. So just also finding a space or a version of expression, if whatever we're trying to push may feel maybe quote-unquote feminine, but what works instead. But at the end of the day, Bora, there's that expression.
And I don't know how much time we have, but just to ask, maybe, what needs to change generally? Just if we can just try, generally look at it, what needs to change in how we talk about men's mental health to favor the man?
I think I'd say that mental health initiative should start at a younger age. Do you know that children always have stress? Young children.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
assume, yeah.
I feel mental health awareness and activation of the speaking out therapy should start at a younger age.
Yeah.
If you grow up knowing that you need to speak up, if you're having a problem, you need to talk to someone. I think, let's say men will embrace it. You'll grow up knowing that if you're having a problem, you need to speak to someone.
Yeah.
I think it will help, rather than growing up with the mentality that, men should not speak out, men should not express themselves. If you're having a problem, you should not go to the therapy. I think it will change men's perspective towards our mental sanity.
Yeah. So yes, there is that part of, bringing up a generation.
Yeah.
And that's around intentional parenting.
Yeah.
So that as I parent my children, I'll be very intentional that none of them is less a human being, or none of them is a superhuman being. And so that needs to, we need to get to look at the human being as a person, beyond the gender. We need to look at that person as, beyond these bodies that you are seeing. We need to see them as human beings. And if we look at them like that, I think a lot of things will change. Yes, so we are bringing up a generation. We also need to impact the place where we are at. And I think some of them are, I've talked about policies and, workplaces and churches and mosques, and, this needs to be a normal kind of discussion. And I would say, let's deal with it. There is a problem. There is the problem that we can actually get to a place where we start focusing on men so much that we lose the women and all that. But I would say, let us talk about mental wellness as something that, mental challenges is something that affects the human being, not just the lady, but then, of course, have deliberate attention towards towards men. Right now, like this month, is men's mental health.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we even doing in our workplaces? Just to make sure there is something. I know like LVCT has a whole week where we're going to be doing activities that are actually encouraging men to talk about mental wellness and how they are doing. And so what is your workplace doing so that this becomes something? I know this Sunday, I'm also going to a church and we're talking about mental wellness. So ideally, what is happening where you are? Because if it's not happening, then you are the person who carries that responsibility to start that discussion. And just remind the man he is not a superhuman. It's all right to carry that slogan of men are also human beings. And so we get to that level where I will be willing to ask a fellow man, how are you doing? And I will be willing to listen. I'll be willing to listen and do something about it.
And give you a genuine answer.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll also give you a genuine answer.
Okay.
Yes.
We need to wind up. I guess you're the one who hasn't given a parting shot. Just very quickly, in like 30 seconds.
I just meant maybe like, men, let's talk to each other inwardly, tuongeleshane, and look out for each other, and even just for ourselves to inwardly prioritize, tuongeleshane, na we take care of each other.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation. I believe this is a conversation that should be had over and over again, not just in the month of June, because as we said, it's of essence that we talk about mental health awareness, not just for men, but for human beings in general. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This is where we end this particular conversation. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and thank you so much for just getting to be with us from the moment we started off the show till this point. This is where we say goodbye as the Good Morning Kenyan team. My name is Vivian Dagwa. See you tomorrow, same time, and please, God willing, goodbye.
In a world where news is ever-changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first.
You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1. 19 nations will compete in the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania 2024, which will be staged from 2nd to 30th August 2025. Amongst the 4 groups in the tournament A to D, Kenya is pooled in Group A, together with Morocco, Angola, DR Congo, and Zambia.
Algeria from the set piece, the header is on target, but it's...
This unique competition featuring the best locally based players from across the continent definitely has something for everyone. Just bring your A game as you let it flow live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Hate speech and harassment online, be it on TikTok, Instagram, or X, women all over the world are targeted, but especially politically active women. And it all follows a similar pattern. But why, and what can we do about it? Hidden behind a computer screen, people seem to lose their inhibitions. Some use shocking and brutal insults they would never dare to say to someone's face. The German politician Franziska Brandmann knows this all too well and often receives comments like this.
You piece of trash. You stupid political failure. Miserable, filthy cunt. Shut your damn disgraceful mouth and get out of politics.
That's pretty nasty. Would you want to receive something like this? The wording of online hate speech is as universal as the phenomenon itself. Its objective is to silence politically active women. Gloria Awoba from Kenya, Supriya Srinath from India, and Miriam Bregman from Argentina. The 3 politicians have all experienced hate speech on social media and know just how personal it can get.
You should rape your son. You should kidnap your son and, rape him, chop him off in bits and pieces. Those really affect me.
Gloria Awoba is a senator in the Kenyan parliament. She's faced a lot of hate online, especially during her recent pregnancy.
The narrative that has been a couple of months is that if you want to know that men are animals, imagine there is a man that has slept with Senator Gloria and made her pregnant.
It's an experience Supriya Srinath knows all too well. She's the spokesperson for India's largest opposition party.
Hate speech, particularly targeting women, is never hate speech. It's always hate mixed with sexual violence. A woman is never trolled for her ideology mostly. The first few things that the troll writes is, they will body shame you, they will talk about, they will talk about physical, sexual violence against you, they will go after your children.
For Supriya Srinath, online trolling targeting women reflects how they are treated in society. Hate speech aims to undermine women in leadership roles. The goal is to constantly degrade you, to make you feel terrible so that you stop expressing your opinions. They're especially bothered by women's opinions. Miriam Bregman is a prominent left-wing political figure in Argentina. A few years ago, her cell number was leaked in far-right online groups. She soon began receiving threats. For Miriam Bregman, the fight against hate speech isn't just about surviving it. It's about changing the conversation so the next generation can lead without fear. Gloria Awoba urges women and girls to stand their ground. She wants to promote a cultural shift and silence offenders.
If you succumb to it, it's mostly because of the shame that they try to put on you. And I always tell people dare to be shameless. When you are shameless, nothing will take you out of the race because you are shameless.
Supriya Srinath takes all the hate and threats and uses them to fuel her fight.
Being in public life, you've got to have a tough skin. And I have a very, very tough skin. I have a very tough mental makeup. None of this dissuades me. Because I am not going to be threatened and I care two hoots about what an anonymous bot has to say about me. An anonymous person with 20 followers will say something sexually apprehensible against me, doesn't threaten me.
While it's inspiring to see these women fight the hate, the anonymous keyboard warriors are everywhere, be it in Argentina, Kenya, India, or Germany. They try to degrade and intimidate women online, and some regions of the world are more affected than others. These figures stem from a 51-country survey. Most online hate crimes, however, go unreported, and many of the victims worry that it won't stop at the verbal abuse, that threats could turn into physical violence. And that's because mechanisms of hate against women follow a very specific pattern.
The hate female politicians receive online is very different to that directed at their male counterparts.
It's because they're women. That's why they are especially targeted. There's still a lot of misogynist thinking and sexist thinking that is something that is coherent in our society, and that is something that translates then against women who are in the public. And that is women who are activists, that is women who are journalists, but especially women who are in politics, who all of a sudden have a certain power. And there's an acceptance also that women deserve this kind of violence.
The pattern is similar everywhere. Women are often attacked for their marital status, their choices regarding family, or indeed having a career in the first place. Sometimes it's simply because they speak up. The attacks escalate to threats of violence, rape, or even death.
The goal of the hate speech, the disinformation, also these comments that are not things that you could file a lawsuit against. They are perfectly covered by freedom of speech, but they still have the goal to silence women, to make them psychologically uncomfortable, to kind of put a crack into their confidence, to just pile up these little microaggressions until they say, okay, I'm just going to step down because it's too much.
Online spaces are poorly regulated, so actions often go unpunished. As a result, women in the public eye are usually left to deal with it on their own.
If we look at the very well-known cases like Laura Boldrini, for example, in Italy, also Annalena Baerbock here in Germany, you don't see the party stepping up as one and standing next to her and defending her. There's like this silence, and they're just left alone there, thrown to the wolves often.
Experts say the narrative can change if enough people act in solidarity.